Good morning and welcome. Nigeria, where every sigh of relief is just a setup for the next uppercut that Nigeria is delivering. For the past few weeks, Nigerians finally let out some, sigh of relief, probably with a bit of fuel vapor, because petrol prices dipped ever so slightly. But if you thought this was a sign of better days to come, well, congratulations. That must mean that you are new here in Nigeria, IJGB, I guess. The fact is, the marketers, our ever-reliable prophets of doom, have issued a warning. Prices are about to shoot up, higher than anything you've ever expected. Why? Because Dakata Refinery has decided that selling petrol in naira is just too much of a social experiment. They are not doing it again. They've halted sales in the local currency. And as you know, anything that involves the dollar in this economy means, well, we're in trouble. So yes, enjoy your short-lived joy, dear Nigerians. This was just Nigeria in its truest form, revving up before slamming us into yet another economic pothole. It's coming, but don't panic. But you know what's even more fascinating than our fuel price gymnastics? The birth of Nigeria's newest state. Yes, congratulations, Nigeria, the state of emergency. Yes, in case you missed it all through last week, Rivers State is no longer just Rivers State. It has been annexed by uncertainty and placed under a firm grip of a sole administrator, retired General Ikot Ete Ibas. Very confusing name. Who, by the way, now presides over a land where democracy is on an involuntary vacation. And the question is, how on earth did we get here? Well, first, it seems political egos clashed, then things unraveled faster than Ankara inside of the rain. Governor Siminalayi Fubara, once the captain of the ship, has been suspended. Yes, you heard that right. A sitting governor suspended from his own state, democratically elected, by the way. Meanwhile, Nyesom Wike, the main antagonist in this whole plot twist, remains untouched. We'll get back to that. Not even a scratch, by the way. And not even a mild disciplinary glare from powers that be, the people at the top. And now we're all playing Where's Waldo, the Siminalayi Fubara edition, because nobody's officially asking where on earth the governor is, because it seems Fubara is seemingly absent. But forget about him for a second. Where do the people of Rivers State fit into all of this? It seems, once again, that their role here is just like Waka Pastoral. They're just the background extras. And speaking of a messy plot, let's talk about catalysts. Now, in science, I hear that, well, you should know, a catalyst is a substance that speeds up a chemical reaction without being consumed in the process itself. And in Nigerian politics, a catalyst is Nyesom Wike, my uncle, that guy. Now, this man has set off every possible crisis yet. In Siminalayi Fubara, or rather, if Siminalayi Fubara were to take this matter to court, there would be zero evidence of him trying to do anything. No documents, no voice notes, not even a stray WhatsApp I love you message. Nothing. It's either that he has mastered the art of playing smart, or, hear me out now, he's a visitor from another timeline, one where he already knows every single event and how they unfold, and can kind of like sidestep disasters before they even happen, like the seasoned chess grandmaster. In fact, if you ever need a definition of the word catalyst, you don't even need a dictionary. Maybe you do need a dictionary. Maybe you should check out the word, look it up inside of the dictionary, any single dictionary, and what you'd find is this guy's picture right there. Absolutely, I promise you. Very smart man, but I don't know. That mustache looks very, very familiar. I'm sure somewhere in my history class, I've come across it somewhere before. I was just thinking, and I said I should see. Maybe you should do your own research. But in any case, enough of the drama. Let's get started with the show here this morning. Welcome to Breakfast Extra. And of course, Judith Atibi is in the house with us. Judith, does that mustache look familiar to you?
Yeah, it's the mustache of Wike.
Well, go back into history. There might be something else we might find. In any case, are you ready for a Sunday edition?
Oh, yes, as ready as can be.
Now, tell you what, let's get started for our final edition, the second one for this weekend. Welcome to Breakfast Extra.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Breakfast Extra, your weekend companion to deep dives into the biggest stories shaping Nigeria. And we'll begin today with the rights of children in northern Nigeria, as Borno's Children's Parliament calls for urgent action. Then we turn our focus to Kano, where a devastating fire has ravaged the Dakata Plastic Market, leaving traders counting their losses. In our perspective segment, we break down Nigeria's inflation drop, what it really means for the economy and the everyday Nigerian. And when we head over to Wellness Extra or Wellness Central, we mark World Oral Health Day 2025, exploring how a happy mouth leads to a happy mind. And in our final hour, we tackle the intersection of AI and cybersecurity. Is it an innovation or a looming security threat? I would say the latter. What do I know? I'm just yellow. Then we turn to the escalating Osun Communal crisis, where lives have been lost and homes burned. It's a packed show ahead, so as always, we're going to get started with the stories, the biggest stories that matter. So, welcome to Breakfast Extra.
Indeed.
Zeno, do you have can you tell us now
Which one?
the theory that you, no, not the theory, what's it called? The trivia that you put us on. We still don't know your guess.
Our guest, so you mean, oh, the guest you mean. Oh, well, hey, don't push me into telling you. All you need
Could
to know
it
is
be,
that...
what's the actor that, that
Chaplin.
yeah, it could be Chaplin. Yeah,
He had such a mustache as well.
Yeah.
By the way, if you just tuned in, inside of the monologue, we talked about that very familiar thing about Wike's mustache. And yeah, Charlie Chaplin did have such a mustache.
And it was very popular. So it was, you know, I'm giving the clue.
It's not Charlie
It was
Chaplin
around
I'm
that
referring
era,
to.
but it was around that
Somebody
era.
else, somebody very much more popular.
Look for, but again, almost all of the figures during that era of white and black television and silent movies all had that. So that was in fashion.
It was in fashion, but somebody took it extra. Extra, if
I'm
you
not
know
there.
Twitter, X, the salute. Let's keep going.
Anyway, let's go on a short break, shall we?
Are we going on a break
Yes,
now?
we are, because we're about to get into trouble. When we come back on the other side, we get started with our big report, and we head all the way back to northeast Nigeria. And Umar Kirao, our reporter, is on standby. Stay with us.
Northern Nigeria, like the rest of the country, has a large youth population, with a significant percentage of the population being under 18. A significant number of children in Northern Nigeria are out of school, with the Northeast having the highest percentage. Children here face various challenges, including poverty, lack of access to education, vulnerability to harmful traditional practices, and the statistics of malnutrition.
Most children living with disability are not well educated because most parents are taking the advantage of their disability to send them out streets to go and beg, which is not good.
Well, I would like to thank the government because the number of out-of-school children has reduced massively, but still there are a lot of children that are on the street. So if only the government can double their efforts, I assure you that there will be no children roaming about on the street.
The big issue is that they have to build schools so that the children can go back to school, like back to school campaign, and they have to put more effort on making street children to go back to school.
To further amplify the children's voices in the region, the United Nations Children's Fund launched Season 4 and 5 of the popular radio program, Tererefe Yaro Kantashi, meaning the young shall grow.
The voice of children has been missing for too long in such discourses, and the formulation of policies and issues have been lacking the voice of children, and that must change.
The children called on the government and policy makers to prioritize children's needs and actively seek their perspectives when formulating policies.
over 500,000 children out of school, and we are trying to reach the children because of the consequences, the insecurity, people are displaced. Having access to school is a challenge, but UNICEF and partners and the state authorities are working hard to ensure the children are back in school.
The United Nations Children's Fund pledged to continue supporting efforts to tackle these challenges through advocacy, community engagement and partnerships with local governments. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
And that report there was from Umar Kirawa on the plight of children in northeast Nigeria that has once again come under the spotlight as the Borno State Children Parliament are making a passionate call for urgent intervention, with the region still grappling with the effects of insurgency, poverty, and limited access to education. Children remain among the most vulnerable. Now, the parliament, made up of just young advocates, is urging both government authorities and international organizations to take decisive action to secure a better future for children in the region. Now, this call was made during the launch of UNICEF's popular radio program, Dararafa Yoronka Yaki. Hopefully I got that correctly. Now, the program is designed to amplify the voices of children and highlight the issues that affect them, from child labor and abuse to education and health rights as well. Now, as conversations around child rights continue, it's become imperative to understand the realities on the ground. And so we're going to get into that discussion right about now.
Now, we've seen the package already. Umar Kirawa brought us that one. Was it Imanu Bagdua? My apologies, brought us that report regarding the kids. But joining us now is Adnan Mukhtar, who's going to be giving us details about the Children's Parliament and all from inside of the package that we have just seen by Umar Kirawa. My apologies. So Adnan, you're welcome. If we can have Adnan now. Adnan, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. So Adnan, first off, if you can explain what this Children's Parliament is so we get a bit of a context before going into the conversation.
The Children's Parliament, as you see, is a body of young children who have representatives from the 27 local government of Borno State. And what the Children's Parliament is doing is advocating for children's rights, protection of their rights, and advocacies on issues that affect the children in terms of access to basic amenities, access to school, access to good water, access to hospitals, and what have you. And with the recent insurgency in Borno State, the Children's Parliament is having currently an effective representation from the 20 local government. And I think its advocacies is what led to the passage of the Child Protection Law in 2022. So the Children's Parliament in Borno State is doing more than enough in the protecting and advocating for child rights in the state. As you can see, there is not even the Child Protection Law that has become to the Child Rights Act now. There's also the Violence Against Children Prohibition Law, the VAP law, which has made some stringent prohibitions in the act that prohibits people from inflicting injury or anything bad to young children in the state.
And how was the reception like from the local communities as well as leaders to the call from the Children's Parliament? Were they there during the session, and what was their response like?
Okay, can you come again?
I was asking about the response. What was the response? How was the reception from the community and leaders? Were the leaders of the community present during the presentation of the parliamentary session with the children? What was their call? What was their response like?
I think the response of the community is a very welcome response. I think the community is very much happy with the activities of the parliament, because it has reshaped and rekindled the thought of children in Borno State. So the response is actually positive, and I think it's going to continue to be that because of the activities and the advocacies which the Children's Parliament is advocating for are things that will bring a rapid development to not only the children, but to Borno State in its entirety.
Now, Mr. Mukhtar, we are aware that UNICEF is involved in this children's parliament. It's a radio program, isn't it? I can't pronounce it. It's in Hausa. Maybe you can help me out and explain to us exactly on what medium this goes and how they're able to put out all of this information.
I think this Dararafeyaru Katashi is a program which the UNICEF is actually, supporting the children parliaments to be doing. When we say Dararafeyaru Katashi, it means at least inspiring, giving career talks to young children, which means that gradually a child grows. That means that putting, ambition into the young children so that they can become responsible and good people in the future. You can see even in the children parliament, sometimes during their sittings, you will be seeing the children, some of them wearing a low wig and gown. Some of them are, appearing like they are medical doctors. Some of them are appearing like they are engineers. This is all in a way to, inspire other young children to become much more responsible, to become much more ambitious in, deciding for their future. So the Repairo Kantashi, I feel, is a program that will help these children in inspiring them, in guiding them, so that they can, at least grow to become future leaders. So the program is being supported by UNICEF, and it's a very good one. And unlike other children parliaments in other states, I think Borno State is having this special treatment because of the insurgency it has gone through in the past years.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Mukhtar, so we've talked about the anatomy of this children's parliament and how it came to be and the support that it has gotten. How fun it is, but how seriously is it being taken by the authorities? What the children have put forward regarding their concerns, which authorities have shown interest, perhaps, in taking on these responsibilities that have been noted by the kids?
You see, on Borno State, we can say that the government of Borno State is giving the children parliament in the state a very, very good care, because in 2022, the child protection bill was, is a baby, and it's come as a result of the advocacy of the children's parliament. And at last it became a law. It was signed by the state government, and the state government is providing this children parliament with its state house of assembly whenever it's going to have a sitting. So I think even this child protection bill that has become a law now, is the child protection law, is courtesy of the children's parliament, is part of its advocacies, and it has become something of reality today. I think we cannot just say that the government is not giving it much care. The government is giving it much care, is giving it much attention. It's only that we are just going to call on other state governments to emulate the government of Borno State. As you can see now, the children's parliament in Borno State is even much more effective, and it's always in the media, it's always on the news, on the headlines, because of its activities.
Now, given the insecurity in Borno State and the situation and how dire it might be, and just the issues that the children raised at the parliamentary session, what more can the media do to amplify the voices of the children? We know that UNICEF is doing their bit, but what more should local media do to amplify the voices of the children?
You see, as you know, the media is a very, very powerful and strategic tool in the dissemination of information. And the media changes, I think, things from the way it's supposed to be, from the way that's not supposed to be to the way that it's supposed to be. So this is like in Borno State, I think even the Save the Children, apart from the UNICEF, are doing enough to support the children's parliament. That is why it's always on the news. And what makes it on the news is its activities is always covered by the local media. And as you know that many young people now, young men and women now, if you go to other states of the Federation, you will find out that some of them are not even aware of the Children Parliament. Like me, when I was a young man, I'm aware of the Children Parliament. I used to see their activities on the television, but these days I don't normally see it to even show it to my children because its visibility on the media is very, very low. I think I will just use this opportunity to call on state governments and all the authorities concerned that the activities of the Children Parliament should be, well disseminated, not only on the national media, but also on the local media, because our people here, especially here in the north, are more familiar with, listening to local news content. And I think through that, even the issue of this Dararape Kantashi, if it's going to have much visibility on our local radio and television stations in Borno State and other parts of the country, I believe that the mission and the target of the program and the vision of the program is going to be well achieved by, using the media. So I think what you just said, if our voice, we should raise our voice on that. That it should be well publicized, the activities of the Children Parliament, so that it can serve as an inspiration to the younger children that are coming up.
All right. And then finally, I must say thank you so much. But let's just a bit more about education, or rather the age of the children. Forgive me. The Parliament, what was the ranges of the children? Just talk to us about the age and the children that are members of this Parliament.
Yeah, most of these children, you will find out that actually, I am something that I think I must say a very big thank you for even drawing my attention to. But most of the children that you see in the Children Parliament, I think their age, most of them, I think, started from like 7 to 13 years. I think even the current Speaker of the Children's Parliament in Borno State, who of recent told the world that she wants to become a lawyer, you find out that that young girl is not, I think, up to 13 years. So most of them are not, up to 13 years, 7 to 13 years, because at that age, the children are, much more ambitious, and they can talk, they can present themselves to the public. They are not shy of saying things. I think most of them, you will find out that they are in JS1, JS2, and the primary 5, primary 6 of their primary schools. You hardly find someone who is in JSS3 or SS1 in the Children's Parliament. And somebody who is in SS1, you will hardly find him at the age of, I think, 7 or 8 or 9.
Right. And you said the Speaker of the Parliament is a girl, is a young girl. So let's talk about the ratio, boy to girl ratio. Is it equal, or is it more girls? Girl power. Adnan.
Yeah, she's a young girl of recent in the media. She was even telling the world that she wanted to become a lawyer, and as you said, she's a very young girl. I think even her participation in the Children's Parliament will actually inspire young women in Borno State, and it's also going to, boost the issue of the girl child education, not only in Borno State but in the entire country. So the young girl is not up to 13 years. I'm not sure of her age, but I'm optimistic that she's not going to pass that age.
All right.
Adnan, Mukhtar, thank you very much for sharing with us your morning and giving us the details about the happenings at the Children's Parliament there in Borno State. Well, we hope that everything that they've submitted is taken seriously by your authorities and definitely worked on. Thank you once again, Adnan.
You're welcome.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, let's bring it back. The papers for this morning is what we're going to be going into. So if you join us, we're going to be taking a look inside of our daily front pages.
Good morning. Let's get started, shall we, to bring you the front pages of the dailies this morning. And we're going to get started with the Punch newspaper for March 23rd, 2025. The very first one there that jumps at you. Coalition talks face hurdles as Atiku's bid zoning threaten negotiations. Obi Amechi scams want South to complete 8 years. NNPP, PDP seek open presidential ticket. You can find that story on page 3. Now, I dare say that if you had given the ticket to some gentleman, we most likely would not have a rule of emergency. Anyway, at the top of the Punch newspaper, the presidency faults Jonathan Shoyinka for condemning Fubara lawmakers' suspension. You can find that story on page 3. Right next to it, why traditional institutions have become a mockery. Oluta of Ota, Olota of Ota, Oba Adeyemi, Oba Lalegi. You can find that story on page 22. I know I butchered it. My sincerest apologies to Kabiesi. By the side there, Atiku Obi El Rufai's coalition cannot defeat APC in 2027. That's from Shukura there. You can find that story on page 5. Free CS. Luth, UCH, others delay implementation 5 months after. You can find that story on page 19. On entertainment, Ashake takes over Aileen's father's treatment. That story is on page 9. Leaving in darkness, Lagos community where Nigerians cross border to charge their phones and even fetch water. You can find that story on page 28 and 29 of the Punch for this Sunday. I am pained my son was killed while trying to pick ball. That's the father of a teenager allegedly shot by landlord. That story is on page 22. I've seen viral videos on Twitter, but seeing this is wild to say the least. And lastly, this one here at the bottom of Punch, the Punch newspaper. SDP leaders under pressure as the factors scramble for top seats. There we go. You can find that story on page 7 for Sunday Punch. Pretty much all of the headlines for the Sunday Punch.
Now the Sunday Independence is next, and I'm very sorry. I don't think there's much interesting stuff on here for the independence, but yeah, I'll start with the big one. 2027 confrontation, more defections, realignment expected as Atiku leads opposition against Tinubu. Did you hear, Judith, over the week? The opposition leaders all came together. Now, I'm seeing this as maybe some sort of alignment for a new political party, but then again, maybe not. But with everything that's happening inside of the political scene now, gearing up for 2027, it's going to be an exciting elections, if you ask me. A very, very interesting and exciting.
It's going to usher in a new wave. It's going to usher in a new chapter or a new era in our political narrative or landscape or narrative. I always say narrative because we're going to see coalitions, we're going to see mergers, and we're going to see a rebrand of political parties. And so we'll wait to see the juggernaut of the coalition that would come out of in the next 1 year or two.
You know what's missing
that
this
might
time,
topple APC.
Do you know what's missing?
What's missing?
The youth. I do not see
I don't
youth
think it is.
Oh,
I keep saying this
for a
thing.
second here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm saying this because if you take a look at what it was from the last elections, there was plenty of representation by youth, not by the youth themselves, but by one person who sort of like brought together the youth. And I'm talking about the obedience. I don't see that happening in 2027, unfortunately, because there doesn't seem to be that representation. We've seen a very laxed type of approach when it comes to everything that's happened since after the elections and Obi did not win. So here for 2027, who's representing the youth? Who's even in themselves a youthful candidate that people, the youth, can align behind? None. Okay. It's all the old guys. It's Atiku you're hearing about. You're hearing about Nasir El-Rufai. You're hearing about everybody who's done it before, who's just simply coming back for a second time, second helpings.
Okay, but that's the same thing that happened in 2023, isn't it? 2022.
I disagree.
No, wait, hang on.
Oh, there's a debate now.
Hang on. Let's say this. All of the candidates, presidential, even to local level, were all the old guards, right? And the reason why that is simply because of you need money to run those politics.
Yeah.
And politics itself in Nigeria is oiled by money. The only persons who can able to play politicking and play it so well are the old guards. Look at what's happening to Fubara, really. He is youthful, he looks youthful, and let's be honest. Let's not forget that in Lagos State, there was a youthful leader, so much so that we named him the Duke of Hastings.
Who's this now?
GRV.
Oh.
Yeah, isn't he a youth? Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So what I'm saying is that whether you like it or not, the old guards are the old guards, and they would always be there. They're not going to leave. For a youth to get up and overthrow the old guard, you need money, a lot of it. Okay, that's it. And then 2, you need to be part of the old boys club to be able to do that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I know politics is expensive. Look at around the world, look at America. It's been run by a billionaire. I understand that. But in 2023, there was a representative. There was somebody who carried.
And you think? I think it's too.
It might be too early.
It's too early to call.
But I'm saying, if nobody's thought about that, perhaps maybe they should start putting that inside of the strategy, because you need a representative, a youth representative. The youths are agitated. They need somebody to represent them.
They already have a.
All right.
They have a.
At the top for the Independent. Look at me say the Independent wasn't exciting, but it is today. PWD's aspirants in Benue denied tickets by political parties over status, and Imo looks forward to an Owerri zone governor in 2027, says Adikwuru. Also, emergency rule in Rivers dent on Nigeria's image. Guess who's saying this? This is former President Goodluck Jonathan says canvasses governments that amidst diversity and also equity, more activist lawyers join opposition to emergency rule. That's as much as we can take inside of the Daily Independent. Do we have another paper? Are we allowed to take another paper before our next big report? Are we taking another paper then? All right, so we've been told that that's as much as we can take for the dailies. Apologies, we got lost in some argument there. Relevant arguments.
It's
regarding
a discourse.
2027. Thank you.
It's a discourse, an argument.
Yeah. Moving on now, we're going to be taking our next big report now. A devastating fire has swept through the Dakata Plastic Market in Kano, reducing property worth millions of naira to ashes. Now, the early morning blaze, which broke out in one of the busiest recycling hubs in northern Nigeria, left traders in shock as they watched their livelihoods go up in flames. The incident is the latest in a series of market fires that have plagued the state, raising concerns about safety measures and also emergency response capacity in Kano's commercial districts. Eyewitnesses recount that despite efforts by the Kano State Fire Service, the intensity of the inferno made it difficult to contain, leading to massive losses. Traders affected by the fire are now calling on the government for urgent intervention, while many question the preparedness of authorities in preventing such disasters. As investigations began into the cause of the fire, News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu brought us this very detailed report.
The inferno has destroyed goods and properties at the Dakata Recycling Market in Kano State, known for plastic waste recycling, leather production, food processing, and general waste collection. Unfortunately, the swift reaction by the fire service didn't save the situation. Victims and survivors count their losses amid tears and pain, expressing sadness over the loss of their livelihoods and painting a bleak image of an unknown future. The victims and eyewitnesses narrate the ugly experience.
Wanda mun waye gari tun wajen karfe 4 gobara ta tashi a wannan guri da ake yin harkar ledoji da recycling machine ne da crushing na harkar ledoji. Babu shakka wannan gobara ta yi asarar kudade miliyoyi da al'umma suka yi, kuma ba yau aka fara irin wannan gobara ba. Muna roƙo Allah subhanahu wata'ala ya mayo waɗanda suka samu wannan ibtila'i, sannan muna kira a hukumance da hukuma su zo su taimaka mana a zo a zauna a gane meye matsalar irin wannan abubuwan da suke faruwa, sannan kuma idan abin ya faru a san ta yaya za a magance irin wannan nan gaba.
Da shugabanni da sarakai da gwamnoni da duk wani dai mai karfi a Kano don Allah ya taimaka 'yan kwalema, Allah ya aiko mana da ibtila'in gobara, don Allah a taimaka. Akwai marayu masu yara ƙananu masu fi wata, yawanci mutane a nan ake ci a nan ake sha.
Injinan mu hudu ne, da injinan da kayan mutane da ba namu ba. Ubangiji Allah ka taimake mu, ku taimaka mana don girman Annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa sallama. mun tattara komai mun sai da komai recycling muka sai ina jin ko wata ɗaya bai yi ba amma ya kone yanzu babu ku taimaka mana dan gafara annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ta fita miliyan 100 ma tunda kaga iya recycling din nan abinda muka saye shi ina jin da gona da gida muka sayar da muka saye shi miliyan 50
to da farko dai muna aiki mun yi sahur kenan muna aiki kawai sai muka ga wutan nepa tana season sai na cewa abokin aiki na kashe injin nan wutan nan kar ta ba injin matsala wallahi duka a cikin minti 10 wuta hatta ba wa ɗayan kamfanin to mun zo nan ana kokarin ɗebe wasu ledoji a nan gurin kawai wani abu sai ya fashe kawai ta harbo kan ledar shine wutar ta kama har ta kai ga wannan lokacin tana ci.
The complexity of the situation was exacerbated following the apprehension of an alleged looter caught trying to take advantage of the situation and was lynched by the angry crowd. Tension died down at the scene following the intervention of the police, who subsequently rescued the suspected thief.
I just had a bit and rushed to this place. I am seeing what happened, but the cause of the fire is not yet known. So my men are here, the DPO and his men, to make sure the place is secured, to avoid the hoodlums to take advantage of it. And as we are talking now, we have arrested one suspect who is trying to steal something around it.
For now, survivors and victims who have lost their properties are still in shock. What will happen next after this, only time will tell. In Dakata, Kano, for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Joining us now to shed more light on this tragic event is Emmanuel Bagudu. He joins us live via video chat. Emmanuel, good to see you. I haven't seen your face in a while, so let me look at it for good measure. Emmanuel, good morning and happy Sunday to you.
I wanted to say something. Emmanuel, I don't know if you are aware, one of the producers here for Breakfast Extra actually looks exactly like you. His name is Collins Christopher, and we call him Emmanuel Bagudu. We just call him Emmanuel Bagudu.
Anytime you come over to... he's a younger version of you. I wish anytime we do a throwback or something, we'll most likely have your younger picture and put it side by side. I'm certain.
I think we should go to Zamfara with you sometime.
Emmanuel, many thanks for joining us, by the way. Let's just get started, shall we?
Yeah.
Can you just walk us through what you saw when you arrived at the scene of the fire? What met you?
Wow, very devastating and very unfortunate, seeing there. Livelihoods being destroyed. That is a very, very high industrial area. In fact, that is the place that we can say, has led to the loss of at least a reasonable percentage of Kano's GDP. A reasonable percent of Kano's IGR has gone down the drain in that fire. We are talking about a hub where people who depend. We are talking about people who depend on waste for wealth. People who go in to pick up plastics, to avoid environmental pollution, to take them to that particular market to be recycled and then making some money from those waste. These livelihoods are now going down the drain and people are really sad. We are talking about goods, services, money, amounting to up to billions. Just a single woman lost something, 100 billion. You can see machines down there. You can see a lot of expensive machines, destroyed. And that is a huge loss for a lot of people at this very, very critical time when we're expecting festive season to kickstart. People are gathering money to, celebrate Salah. People are fasting and all that. It's very, 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 very painful. Yeah.
So Emmanuel, a couple of weeks ago, we had an expert here whose expertise was in recycling material, or what was it called again? Urban mining was the word we used. And when you talk about the fact that Kano's GDP might also rely on this market that has had this very unfortunate instance happen to it, it makes you wonder how concerned the authorities are when it comes to the fire and the people who made a living from there. Are there any, has the government advanced any compensation or aid to the people who have lost millions?
Yes, you are very right to say that there's a huge concern from government authorities, because as of yesterday evening, late evening, we had the governor visit the scene of that incident to, inspect and, see the level of loss, that people have had. It's a serious, it's a good word to use, urban mining, because that, I would say that most of the jobless youths in Kano, most of the youths who have not been to school, most of the youths who are dependent on informal trade, are actually dependent on recycling. And Kano has a very huge population. We're talking about a population of, the second most populated, city, state in Nigeria. Talking about a state with 44 local governments. Those who are not opportunity to go to school and they are dependent on this street. When you wake up every day, you see these guys before Babambola, these scavengers. Every morning you see them with sacks going into, waste bins, picking up these plastics, gathering them in sacks. They arrive, they all take them to that particular market, that particular Dakata recycling market. Everything you see, every small child you see, scavenging, ends up in that market and gets his daily bread from that market. Today the market is not there. I mean, it's so devastating. You cannot even imagine how the government wants to tackle this, because it's not even the case of saying that people going to school, they lost jobs, okay, let's create another job for them. We're talking about investments. People go there to, a lot of people sold their properties, build machines. These kind of machines are being imported. You don't see these machines anywhere. They're very expensive machines. So it's something that's very, very trickish. It's something that's very, very technical that the government has to look at. And it's a challenge at this time for the government of Kano State and of course Nigeria, because it's a market that actually fits an entire northwest region. We're talking about a market that produces nylon. Most of the nylon you use, when you go to the market, you buy things and you put something in black leather, it comes from that market. A good percentage of it comes from that market. So it's something that it's worrisome and that requires a lot of synergy. The Kano State government, I don't think they can do this alone. They will need some kind of assistance, to keep, to revive, to start the game. Yeah.
Right. Let's also talk about, the response to this fire from the Kano State Fire Service. Were there any major challenges that they faced? What was their response time like? And were they fast in containing the fire? I mean, plastics are flammable, but I'm sure they were up to a huge fight.
Man, this fire is not something that can be controlled. It's fire full air, and the market is just a stone throw to the fire service office at Dakata. It's not up to 500 meters. I think I would just say 400 meters. But the fire service were overwhelmed. We are talking about a place where there is a very huge industrial activities, a place where it's congested, where industrial activities happens 24 hours. You remember the fire started 4 a.m. The eyewitness account, the victim's account was that they saw this fire coming. They thought it was just an ordinary electric spark. It's coming from an electric pole. A spark. When you hear someone tell you that, there is an electric spark, what comes to mind is the fact that there's congestion, of course. I'm not an electrical engineer, but of course you know that there's high activities. There's a huge number of industrial activities on that particular that line. So the fire service were overwhelmed. It's not something that the fire service will control. And then we have a lot of chemicals. The last young man that was speaking, to us outside mentioned to us that with the solid fire, they thought it was a simple thing that can be controlled. But in the process of trying to put out the fire, there's a particular rubber that was having a flammable chemical in it. In the process of packing those items out, that rubber broke into two, and of course the chemical that came out was flammable. And before it come in contact with the fire, and then of course everywhere was flamed. Everywhere was haze and everything. So it's so devastating for the fire service because there are actually flammable chemicals in that particular market. That's why it wasn't easy for them to be able to control the fire. It's not that they couldn't do their job. They came in the right time. Their office is just adjacent to the market. But with the fact that there were a lot of flammable chemicals, talking about a market that contains companies that produces nylon, companies that recycles, that crushes plastics, companies that create that. In fact, there is even an aspect of that particular market that processes food. We have a young man who processes granules who has a machine that processes granite to produce granite oil. And I'm coming home to see that his machine and his entire shop is burned down. The man just collapsed. I was rushed to the nearby hospital. So a lot of machines that in that particular market, those machines contain flammable gas. They have fuel, they have diesel, and then of course the chemicals being used for recycling also are flammable. So you don't expect that that is the kind of fire that will be controlled by the fire service, because it's like as they are putting up the fire, more fire, is still coming up. They are having more challenge. So it's just a case of they are just trying their best. They don't know. They're just trying their best. But unfortunately, honestly, it's not something that can be controlled by the fire service. But the fact that it's an industrial bomb that has a lot of chemicals that are filling up. Yeah.
Now, Emmanuel, taking a look at the visuals that we're showing currently, we can see those big machines, and we can also see that nothing is left. The efforts that we're seeing from the fire service at putting out the fire is not trying to salvage anything, it's actually just trying to put out the fire from the rubble. So it means nothing was left. Back to the challenges that might have been experienced by the authorities, the fire authorities. Was it one of access to the facility or to the market that might have caused them to perhaps arrive at such a time where nothing can be saved? Or were there any notes regarding safety or personal safety of the people who endeavor at the market, perhaps maybe having their own fire extinguishers and all of that? Please explain how come the fire was so devastating, and whether there were any talks of personal fire equipment.
Yes, the point you mentioned is very, very important, talking about personal safety, talking about, educating the people how to, prevent this kind of occurrence. That's a very, very important point you are raising, because you raised the fact that why didn't the fire service, was it an issue of access? It wasn't an issue of access at all. It is an issue of, professionalism. I don't think there was the international professionalism, and I told you that most of the people that are, working there are people who are jobless, who have not been to school, who are artisans. And then there was need for them to be educated on how to, prevent this kind of thing happening, because this is the first time they're experiencing this kind of thing. We have seen fire, in markets, we have seen fire in houses, we have seen fire in, communities, places of worship. But we're talking about the fire happening in a place where there are chemicals that are flammable. Just for instance, a fire happening in a refinery is similar to that, because what they are producing there involves a huge use of chemicals. And the point you mentioned is whether there are issues, that there are instances of prevention, whether traders their personal fire extinguishers are thought out to put on fire. There is not, because it's very, very obvious. Because the reason why the fire service didn't control that fire to the barest minimum was the fact that as the fire service are trying to put out the fire, more fire are being coming because of the chemicals that are already in that particular pump. So the point is the fact that while people are working in that kind of environment, they are supposed to be taught, fire, procedures, how to put out fire, how to escape from fire, to prevent fire from happening. Because we didn't see that. There's no notice. We don't see any instances of people. Of course, there are fire extinguishers there, but all we see in that particular place is people going about their own businesses, cashing out every day, enjoying their profits, and then forgetting the fact that, there is doomsday. And that doomsday has come, and you can see this women crying, livelihood is being going down the drain, and it's a lesson that people must learn. Just like you said, you raised a very, very important point. It's a lesson that was learned. People must learn how to handle chemicals. It's not enough for you to, get chemicals. You are cashing out, you are producing letters every day, exporting them, spreading them across Nigeria, cashing out, collecting waste beans, paying young boys, peanuts, of course, exploiting children.
Right.
To go to scavenge. And then, they should be taught how to, control fire. They should be taught control measures, and then they should just, because they're making a lot of money, that money should be used to control this kind of devastating effect.
Emmanuel, I have to ask at this point, have investigations begun so far to ascertain the cause of the fire, and were there any casualties?
Yeah, their investigations have started, but there are no casualties recorded. Of course, we have a lot of injuries. We have people, collapsing after losing their means of livelihood have gone down the drain. We have people being rushed to the hospital for shock, but nobody has died. We have not seen anybody dead. We have not seen any dead body yet. But the investigation has started. We have seen the governor, visit the place yesterday. Very soon we're going to share that video with you. And then we have seen the Nigerian police, the new commissioner of police who are first day to work to experience that ugly scene. And then the fire service, the Kano State Fire Service, the Federal Fire Service have started investigation. Very soon, details will be made available to everyone. Yeah.
Right. And just lastly, what's the way forward for the traders? Were you able to speak to any of the traders, the business owners there in that market? And what's the mood like when you spoke to them?
Yes, the traders are actually devastated, and the way forward for them right now is they are looking for help. If you look at their body language, help is what they are looking for. And that takes us still back to the zero question. Prevention, in hindsight, foresight, hindsight and foresight is needed. People should be able to prevent. People should be able to know what to do. We don't see any instances of insurance. Just like you say, way forward. There's no insurance. I don't think these people know anything about insurance. I don't think since they cannot even know how to control chemicals, how to control fire. You are talking about a chemical just busting up into pieces and then fire, get flame just fill up everywhere. They need to be taught all these things. They need to be taught insurance so that, just like you said, way forward, when these things happen, they are actually into the way forward. But for now, they are devastated. I think them that they are painting a picture of a very, very bleak reality on a certain future. So they should be taught how to move forward. They should be taught how to prevent when this kind of things happen. Thank you.
Well, Emmanuel, I want to say thank you so much. And just finally, I hope that this will be a call to those who, have businesses and they sell flammables to, recoup and try to get fire extinguishers, learn to get insurance, because especially dry season like this, you never know. And our heart goes out to those who lost their properties and just their business at the tough, uncertain time as now.
Well, Guru, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
All the best. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Indeed. Do stay tuned. We've got the news at the top of the hour, and then right after, strips and more conversation inside of Breakfast Extra. Stay tuned.
And welcome. It's time for us to bring you breakfast headlines here on Breakfast Extra, and I'm Judith, TV. A federal high court sitting in Lokoja, Kogi State capital, has set aside an earlier ruling that restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission from receiving the recall process initiated by constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The Federal High Court, in a landmark judgment delivered in Lokoja on Friday, affirms that the recall process is constitutionally valid and aligns with the civic rights of the constituents. The court urged the constituents to continue exercising their rights in an orderly and peaceful manner. The development was after the court on Thursday granted an interim injunction restraining INEC, its staff, agents, privies, or assigns from receiving, accepting, or acting on any petition containing signatures of members of Kogi Central Senatorial District. The injunction, however, restrains INEC, its staff, and agents from receiving or accepting recall petitions with fake signatures and conducting any referendum based on such petitions. The case has been adjourned to May 6, 2025 for further mentioning. Meanwhile, a former member of the House of Representatives from Kogi State and People's Democratic Party stalwart Abdurrahman Badamosi has dismissed the alleged collection of signatures for the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, calling it a fabrication by political mischief makers. Speaking in an exclusive interview with News Central Special Correspondent for Investigative Journalism, Marshal Anthony Onoye, Badamosi claimed that those pushing for the senator's recall are not genuine constituents of Kogi Central, but hired mercenaries.
Not an organic call or recall. Why? Because it is not the wish of the people, despite the fact that they deceived the people for an empowerment program, which people later discovered. They have to back it up with maximum security force to be able to even get something. If you look at most of the videos going around, you see them inside the various houses, writing and signing the so-called recall. We saw it as an opposition party of PDP. We saw it as a charade. We saw it as something that will not go anywhere. It cannot stand the test of time. The first step is to collect signature attached to repetition to INEC. And INEC will now embark on verification of those petitions, signatures, if they are genuine. Thereafter, they will call for a referendum of yes or no. They are on their first stage, and we notice extreme fraud in the collection of signature. On that one, we'll wait for them in the verification exercise so that we expose it.
There was a 24-hour curfew on Ifon, Ilobu, and Irin Osun communities as communal clashes have escalated. Governor Ademola Adeleke has taken the measure after an initial 12-hour curfew failed to curb the violence, which has displaced many residents. Some displaced persons, including northerners, were seen leaving the area in buses. A statement by the governor's spokesperson, Olawale Rashid, confirmed the deployment of a joint security task force and ongoing peace efforts between the warring communities. Governor Adeleke has assured residents of his commitment to security and has briefed the presidency on developments. The government has also warned against fake videos circulating online, dismissing them as attempts to spread false narratives about insecurity in Osun State. And now to River State, where the sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ite Ibas, has advised the contractor handling the State Assembly Complex project to speed up work and deliver it as mutually agreed. Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, insisted that part of his mandate included restoring full and effective legislative activities in the state. The sole administrator gave the charge when he visited to inspect the ongoing reconstruction work on the new assembly complex located along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt local government area on Saturday.
I was appointed in the first place to be here to maintain law and order that will enable us go back to what the state is supposed to be. In the last 2 days, you're also aware that I had been at the executive arm of the state governance structure, and one of the pillars that is missing for now is the legislature, and for them to function effectively, they also need a place to work from. Perhaps I'm here to be sure that work is going on as expected, so that by the end of the 6 months, this place will be ready for those who need to use it. I think basically that's what it is.
We'd like to know whether you will be pushing the contractor to ensure that it's within this.
They have a schedule and they have timelines that I believe they will adhere to. Okay. I think the state has done its own bit by providing the necessary funds. I was briefed, and so the onus is on them to make sure that they keep to the terms. Okay.
Thank you.
Staying with Rivers' political situation, former President Goodluck Jonathan has stated that the suspension of elected officials in Rivers State has tarnished Nigeria's image and could deter investment. Speaking at the Hasks Satu Mari Foundation colloquium in Abuja, Jonathan criticized key actors in the executive and legislative arms for actions that portray the country negatively. He emphasized that government's decisions impact national perception and economic prospects. His remarks followed controversy over President Bola Tinubu's declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State and the 6-month suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and state lawmakers. Jonathan also condemned undue interference in the judiciary, stressing that such actions undermine public confidence in the legal system. He said he was compelled to speak after calls from concerned Nigerians. Outside Nigeria, Sudan's military has seized several key buildings in central Khartoum from paramilitary forces following the recapture of the presidential palace. Army spokesman Nabil Abdullah confirmed the takeover of the central bank, state intelligence headquarters, and the Sudan National Museum. The military has continued to apply pressure on the rapid support forces, which have withdrawn from some locations but still control parts of the heavily damaged airport. The part of Khartoum's government and financial district has strengthened the Army's position, securing strategic road routes.
الليلة جينا قيادة المنطقة العسكرية بولاية البحر الأحمر لنحتفل مع قواتنا المسلحة بالنصر العظيم اللي تم تحقيقه اليوم، استعادة القصر الجمهوري رمز الدولة السودانية. بالنسبة لنا استعادة القصر الجمهوري هو تحرير الخرطوم، فيبقى ما فضل في الخرطوم حاجة، فألف لكم مبروك يا شعب وألف مبروك لكم يا جيشنا.
Female doctors in Sudan have risked their lives to treat patients as war has devastated Khartoum's hospitals since April of 2023. With up to 90% of hospitals in conflict zones forced to shut down, medics are also faced with impossible choices between family and duty. Dr. Safar Ali, one of the last remaining obstetricians in the capital, has stayed behind, risking her life to ensure safe births. Other medical staff, including nurses and janitors, have continued working despite bombed hospitals and threats from combatants.
هنا لمستشفى النو عن طريق الصدفة. كنت جاية سايقة بجيراننا وهي وقعت وجيت العيادة المحولة على أساس إنه يعملوا لها دريسين وكذا أو نخيت لها الجرح. جيت على الأساس ده قابلت الدكتور جمال وطرح لي الفكرة طوالي وقلت له ويلكم وجيت طوالي أنا هنا.
لما جيت البروك ثاني ما قدرت لحد الآن، وهم كلهم كانوا في الصعيد ذاتهم أولادنا دربناهم نحن يعني كانوا، فكنت أنا السينيور الوحيدة الموجودة بيناتهم، وهم كانوا والله يعني ما شاء الله شباب حلوين قاعدين من بداية الحرب. أنا ما كنت معاهم من البداية، فهم دردون جريد جوب يعني عملوا حاجات جميلة جدا وشغالين شغل جميل. فأنا جد بالنسبة لهم كنت يعني زي أمهم، عاملة لهم دول بديهم نصايح في حاجات معينة.
أنا ظللت أعمل منذ بداية الحرب وحتى الآن ما طلعت من السودان، والدافع زي وزي ناس كثيرة موجودة في السودان كان الدافع لهم هو حبهم لبلدهم وحبهم لوطنهم والغيرة على بلدهم وأيضا حبهم للمهنة بتاعتهم والغسم اللي هم
And that's all the headlines we can take at this hour. That's all for Breakfast Extra, or rather Breakfast Headlines here on Breakfast Extra. I am Judith, the TV. It's back to Breakfast Extra, and this time Mazzino's on standby to bring you the strips for this weekend. Stay with us.
I'm back again here in front of the TV, and don't go too quickly, Judith, because I need you for the strips. Every single weekend we bring you a compilation of very interesting, well, newspaper cartoons that we found from all through the week. And then we talk about it here. And this week we have a couple of winners. Let's start with our very first one. Not sure which one exactly, but I trust, listen, every single strip from this week, the past week, has been fantastic. Judith, I don't know if you were following through. Did you see all the strips? Did you see this one? Let's talk about this business day strip
goodness
here. let me step aside for a second there. These are very familiar, well, faces, cartoonized faces. But what strikes you is the very big cannon there and the inscription impeachment. And of course, the depiction of who might be...
Oh no, I'm just seeing the head.
Oh, you didn't see that before?
No, I'm not with my glasses. Oh, I was like, is that a cock on a Kano gun? What is that? And then I had to say, wait a minute.
Let me step aside for you.
Is that who I think it is?
Who do you think it is? Go on, tell.
Oh, no.
I think at this time we can't tell, yeah? I think that the depiction here, Okpara once again, is depicting the president, Wike, and of course Fubara there, who's about to be shot into suspension? I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything. But look who's holding the lighter.
This is so brilliant. Do you know what's even, that's not even, that's even.
What now?
Look at the shadow of the cannon gun on the floor.
Oh!
It is just brilliant.
I didn't see that.
I know!
I didn't see that. It's rivers. I didn't see that. See why I need you? Thank you very much. So this describes last week. And this is not the only one or the only paper that actually depicted everything, the brouhaha that was happening all through last week. With the sole administrator being sent over to River State to take over activities. We're still looking for Fubara. Judith, nobody is asking where Fubara is, how Fubara is, what he's doing, what he's supposed to be doing at this point in time after the sole administrator has taken over. Has he left the government? We are not hearing anything about Fubara. That worries me.
Why does it worry you?
Hey, one human to the other, the guy's going through so much. First off, politically, what is he regrouping for? I don't know. I didn't ask. I didn't ask. Let's move on. Save what you're about to say because
no, because actually I don't have anything.
The next one is still the same. Let's move on to our very next one. Now, Nigeria, River State to be precise.
Is that Amawale?
Huh? Oh, of course. The first time we're seeing him in cartoonized
I know, and he's in the same ship.
Yeah. So here's the thing I do not understand about the instance in River State. Why rake out the legs from under Amawale himself? I thought that he was put in there to actually help the situation, that he was reinstated to actually help with legislature in the state. And I don't think that they gave him any opportunity or any chance, or even he himself actually took responsibility to do much. Because if you ask me, during the re-presentation of the budget, that was one opportunity where we could have seen his legislature in action. But we never got to see that. Instead, they locked the gates one time and then they went on recess the other. So we never got to see exactly what they could have done to be able to put the state straight. My personal opinion there. And this is what happened for after. The powers that be says, both you and you and you, the three both of you, we're clearing you guys, but you are democracy. And there you it. The
What's
Constitution
in the trash?
In the bin.
What's in the bin?
It's the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution. It's it's not, well, you know the argument.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. We're going to take the entire hour.
Is the state of emergency legal? Or
in this case, and how it was carried out, was it legal?
Is it warranted? I think that's the best way to put it. Was it warranted? If you get what I mean. River State government, of course, you can see there, you know who that is, Fubara and Mawale. Tinubu declared state of emergency in River State, and that's the constitution along with everything else.
I like the padlock. The padlock has his sign.
Oh, yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Just a nice touch.
I love this artist. I just love the way he,
nice
every
touch.
single time, Daily Trust brings it home.
That's a nice touch. But I think that, no, let's keep it moving.
Let's check another one out before we go. We've got more, and they're all simply telling the same thing. But this one, Bubbles and The Guardian, of course, you know how they like their bubbles. There's hunger and poverty in the state. Let's make life comfortable for people. Oh, no way. Why, Governor? If they become comfortable, too comfortable, they won't easily come for table. Get that? Come for table? I don't understand. During the next election, it'll be difficult to capture them with 1 derrick of rice and 1,000 naira. Now that's shade on the electorate. That's shade on us as Nigerians. Every single person who thinks election is time to at least just make a few buck and then ruin the lives of every other Nigerian. That's shade right there, but that is also the reality. Do you have anything to tell?
So I don't want to do this.
Go ahead.
You know, I don't want to. Look, this thing that we do, right, I think that let's push the envelope a bit with this argument and say this. When you rebase an inflation, right, but people are still struggling and the cost of living crisis is not slowing down and soaring, people don't have any choice.
Oh, geez,
right?
anyway,
they don't have any choice. And I'm also one of those that would tell you, oh, in spite of your struggles, you should still do good, you should still do right, blah, blah, blah. But no one's me. You know, I'm just Judith, and no one can be like me in 100 years to come. But with that being said, we can push the envelope further to say that during the last elections, we saw a different type of election, especially at the presidential level. It went from a 2-man horse race to a 3-man horse race that was closely contested and could have won if not for the interpretation of the Constitution. But hey, I yield. Moving on.
She says she yields. Well, thank you very much, The Guardian, for your bubbles. Let's all the Trojan horse. Who do you see there? Who do you see? Whose uncle is this now? I don't know who's claiming him. But of course,
I don't know.
You see, that's El Rufai.
Yeah, I know it is, but like I know it's not my family. I know.
Packaged very nicely in the Trojan SDB horse. I've always loved the story about the Trojan horse. I'm wondering how much of what we hear is actually real. Was it caught from any other form of history that actually makes it real? But it's a very interesting depiction of how we are shopping about the same concepts, the same political views, the same politicians inside of a different package. Now, for me, once I saw that, I just thought, these guys don't know what they got coming. And that's why it's pictured in this form. But it's a very interesting way to actually have it pictured. Can we do one more, producers? Thank you very much. And the winner is...
Oh.
Da-da-da-da. Thank you very much. When I saw this, I burst out laughing. Nobody needed to ask any explanation after I showed them what this was. Now, in this picture, I especially love the... Dude, watch this. It says BAT Energies, and at the top, there's a bat. I love it because of the Batman reference. But of course, we know who that's depicting. You know who, with the glasses and everything. And there, Lagos, Rivers, Kano, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Delta,
As you know, all this way I'm saying. Let me tell you what I like the most.
Go ahead.
Under Lagos, look at the sign under Lagos. Look at the sign under Lagos.
Yeah, faulty, do not touch.
I love it.
Before. Yeah.
I love it.
It's on, but the wires go nowhere.
Like, don't touch it.
They've been disconnected. And then Rivers one, the wires are, we've shut down democracy there. You can see where the lever is. And then coming soon, you have Akwa Ibom, Kano, Anambra, Delta, Osun, and then the Democracy Hall with the workers. It's correct. It's perfect. It describes Nigeria with a very familiar tone. We all kind of like see this when it comes to the NEPA and everything, you know. And I don't know. It's just, it's art. I love it. It's beautiful. It's my winner for today, the strips. I love it.
All the states on the wall, are they all APC?
Oh, yeah. So that's the contrast.
Right.
It's APC versus you know who, other parties, PDP and all the rest. So we're just shutting all of them on. Oh, that's another way to look at it. The ones that are on
I was looking at all the states, I'm like, they gotta all be APC. That's why they're on. And that's why Lagos is in front.
I love this.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
I love it. It's our winner for today.
I'm not saying anything again. I get into trouble.
It says it all. We don't need to go to definitive because if we start adding our own, then they'll just, off our own light as well. Let's not do this. In any case, this is as much as we can take for the strips. Thank you very much, Judith, for giving me some more context because without you, I would have missed out a couple of things on these ones.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. Tell you what, guys, let's take a pause now. We've got perspectives coming your way. Now it's perspectives this time. For months, Nigerians have been grappling with skyrocketing prices of food, transportation, and also essential goods. But now, recent reports indicate that Nigeria's inflation rate has dropped. Sounds like good news, doesn't it? I know. But what does this decrease actually mean for everyday Nigerians? Will it translate into lower prices, maybe in the markets, or is it just another statistic that doesn't really reflect reality on the streets? Hence, to get the sense of how people really feel about this, the development, we hit the streets ourselves to ask Nigerians whether they have noticed any change in the cost of living. Let's take a look.
It's not really because the price of groundnut oil is still high. Rice, some people cannot afford it. It's still on the high side. That is it. Oh, wow. Are you talking about fish? Can I afford fish? I just cook the chicken. Before someone will eat chicken once in a year, just once in a year. Maybe they're celebrating Christmas. Somebody will say, come, oh, this is what I have for you for Christmas. Before you can say you want to afford chicken. And make them happy, the border should be open. Some people cannot afford to wear clothes, shoes. Mostly when you go out there, people are not happy. People are not happy. This is not Nigeria I used to know before. So government should just put more effort to help the masses to be happy. For common man to afford common things.
Firstly, I came to buy this flour. So we bought the flour around let's say 2 weeks ago, around 4,400. But coming back now, it's like 4,000 now. So I believe maybe the stuff is coming down. But about last week or last upper week, I went to my 12 to buy all this food stuff. So I believe the pepper and all this kind of stuff went up. So the food stuff doesn't stand in one ratio. It's going down, coming up, going down, coming up. The foodstuff is fluctuating, but I don't know about right now because I haven't gone back to my 12 to know what is going about. But now the foodstuff is just going up, coming down, going up, coming down. So the foodstuff affects. If you go to another person or the market woman that sells stuff, it affects everybody. It affects everybody. It's just that the stuff is not doesn't stand in one place. It's going up, coming down, going up, coming down.
Like the product in the market, like I'm just coming from the market, I observe that rice came down, the prices of beans got down, but not reflecting all the food items in the market. Some are still on the high side, but actually I observe that it has not really reflected because it's not everyone that's complying with the prices of. Some are still high, some are complying with the prices. So it's not really reflected. It's not everyone that can notice that the inflation has really ongoing. Like chicken, turkey, meat, they are still on the high price, on the high side. Those are the ones that really give me thought when I want to ask. How can I ever get something that look enough for us? That one is still on a high price. This is chicken and the turkey and all that. Also, before you can make a pot of soup with 10,000, but now you can't even make it 15,000, 20,000 before you can get a pot of soup. It affected me. It really affected me. Actually, where the problem is coming from is the fuel. It is the fuel and the lights. Because if the fuel prices come down, then the fuel price comes down, it will affect a transportation where they transport their goods to the market. Yes, the transporters, their prices will be low, and they make the prices of food items to go down. So it's fuel and fuel and electricity, because these are the two things that can help Nigeria.
Like price of things have really changed. Like the other day now, like the price of beans, even the rice. Like I bought a half bag of rice of 35,000, unlike before that it's 50,000. So it's coming down, it's okay. Yes, they're working. It's not something that can easily change just immediately. It's within time. Because the thing have really get bad, like we just have to be patient with the government since it's going to come down.
It's affecting every home. Fuel price, first of all, initially it's not supposed to increase, it's not supposed to remove subsidy, fuel subsidy. That's the very biggest mistake he made. That's one thing. Now that aside, that has happened. We are living by it. You know, Nigerians, we know how to adjust to hard things. No matter how hard it is, we'll adjust, we'll live by it. But it is affecting us. Truth be told, it is affecting every home. Prices of things has not reduced. We hear that fuel price now has now reduced to 800 or 8 something. It is not, we can't see the reduction. It's not having any effect on the food price and everything. So they should please do something about that too.
So there you have it, mixed reactions from Nigerians. While the numbers may suggest inflation is easing, many are still struggling with high prices and economic uncertainty. The big question remains, when will these macroeconomic improvements translate into real relief for the average Nigerians? And only time will tell. Let's go on a short break. When we return, it's going to be Wellness Central, and this time we are commemorating World Oral Health Day 2025. After the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. Now, today is 23rd of March, but on March 20th, 2025, we joined the global community in observing World Oral Health Day under the theme, A Happy Mouth is a Happy Mind. This theme emphasizes the profound connection between oral health and overall mental well-being, highlighting that maintaining a healthy mouth also contributes significantly to one's quality of life. And you're wondering why, but we're going to get into that quickly. But globally, oral diseases are among the most common non-communicable diseases, affecting an estimated 3.5 billion people. In Nigeria alone, the situation is particularly concerning. Studies have shown that periodontal disease with deep pocketing occurs in Nigerians at a very early age, with a prevalence ranging from 15% to 58% in those aged above 15 years. Additionally, the prevalence of untreated dental caries remains alarmingly high, with more than 80% of cases in primary dentation and over 49% in permanent dentation remaining untreated. Now, these statistics underscore the urgent need for increased awareness and proactive measures to improve oral health across the nation.
So, to delve deeper into the pressing issue of dental hygiene and health, we are honored to have with us Dr. Get this, Judith Jalayami. You are welcome, Dr. Judith. So we have to set it right now from the start. That's Judith, and that is Dr. Judith. You're welcome. Good to have you here.
I could also be Dr. Judith. I really like it. I'm going to say JJ.
Oh,
right? He might say, he might say. But I like it. Remember, I said, like, I know that's right. That's my girl, JJ. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you, Lady in Pink, by the way.
Thank you so much.
So why is it very important that we celebrate World Oral Health Day, especially in the context of Nigeria?
Well, World Oral Health Day is just one day in a year, but the oral status, we need to consider it from time to time. And I'm so glad that the awareness of oral health is increasing, you know, albeit gradual, but it is, because the mouth is the gateway to the body.
Right.
Everything goes into the mouth and everything comes out of the mouth. Through the mouth, you can identify a lot of problems. So sometimes your dentist may be the first person to identify a systemic condition and so many others. So it's very good to increase the awareness for people to know that the mouth is as much as important as every other part of the body, if not more important.
Well, during our intro, looking at the stats is very alarming.
Yes, it's quite alarming.
From a young age, people are already having dental issues, and as they go older, it becomes worse, and some even go untreated, undetected, or undiagnosed. Why is that?
Well, it still boils down to the level of awareness and how people take their oral status. You know, so once you consider your oral health as important, then we'll attend to it, and I believe that these avenues are what is creating that awareness. We hope to have more of this so that people get more dentally aware of their teeth.
Before I get to the anatomy of the situation, I wanted to talk about the theme for this year: healthy mouth, healthy mind. So if you could please give some context to that as well.
The link between the two. How can a healthy mouth give us a healthy mind? I know some people who think it's exchanging lip fluid with other...
Well,
that's a dirty mind.
I finally got there. There you go.
So a healthy mouth, a healthy mind. You see, the mouth is, like I said, it's an access. You know, we're talking now. I'm relating to you, my confidence, my self-confidence, and so many other things. Now, let's first start with the confidence. If you have a poor oral status, I wouldn't be able to smile. I wouldn't be confident enough to talk to you, which is also a thing of the mind.
Right.
Now, let's talk about your health. You have a toothache, for instance.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to think. You wouldn't be able to reason and all of that. So the self-esteem, you know, also is affected by bad oral status. So a healthy mouth is actually a healthy mind.
That's very
healthy mouth, healthy mind.
Yeah.
You brought some gentlemen here with us.
I was going to make a reference.
I'm very excited to play with these people.
It's a puppet to me.
Yeah,
I know it's much more important, but
what do you call the thing? Ventriloquist. This guy has an overbite, doesn't he?
So yes. So doctor, explain to us the details here. What we're seeing. I'm hoping that our cameras can zoom in on some of.
No, I think I can zoom in on mine. See?
Yeah. So
do it, guys. Come on.
The structure of the mouth here. Oh, by the way, a healthy mouth isn't limited to the structures inside of the mouth.
No.
I'm going to get to talking about all of that since it's an access to the entire body. While Judith is having fun with our set of teeth here. But explain to us why we have so many different characteristics to the teeth that we see inside of this prop here.
Okay, so
Judith, hand it back.
No.
So this is a pathology model. It shows the progression of cavities and some other oral problems in the mouth. And I always like to use this because you describe...
You can hold it up to your camera so that we can zoom in. That's your camera over there.
Okay.
Yeah, so hold it up while you're talking so that we can see how much of it we can capture.
Yes, so we're talking about cavities here. So this is basically progressive dental cavities, how they start. So dental cavities start as a very tiny dot. We have something like this here, which is just limited to the substance of the tooth. So the tooth has different layers, the enamel, the dentine, and the pulp. So cavities move, you have organisms in the mouth. The organisms dwell on the teeth, they feed on the food, they release acids, and the acids destroy the teeth. They stay in the pocket of the teeth, they eat more food, they release the acids, and then the acids continue to destroy the teeth, and the cavities get bigger and bigger. So initially, one has a tiny cavity, doesn't even know that he has a cavity. Now, as these acids start to destroy the tooth, the cavity gets bigger and bigger. Now, as it's getting bigger, it's moving from one place to the other. So it's moving from the enamel to the dentine. Once it's getting into the dentine, you start to have sensitivity. Oh, my tooth is shocking. I feel shock when I take cold water. I feel shock when I take hot water. But after a few minutes, it's off. And then if it's not treated, it goes into the pulp. So you can see the progression from the enamel to the dentine to the pulp. So we have this one within the enamel and dentine. Now you can see that it's gotten into the pulp and it's all the way down to the root. By then, such people start to have pain that is excruciating, pain that disturbs your sleep at night. Pain that comes up on its own when you're doing anything. It just, it's spontaneous.
I once had a period. I couldn't sleep for 2 or 3 days.
Oh yes, you could have,
because of a certain pain I was getting from. I think I took it out eventually. I never replaced it, but it was terrible.
You should replace your missing tooth.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, and then if you don't still attend to it, sometimes the pain, some people can't tolerate so much pain, it goes away, but the infection is still there. One thing with a tooth problem is you don't leave it. Your herbs or whatever you take can never solve a tooth problem. It's only the dentist, and you have to either take out the problem or take out the tooth. But as long as the problem is there, it still remains there, and it will get worse. It will flare up.
Before you touch on any other subject, there is a certain substance. I don't know if you have seen the substance, if you've heard about it. It's called touch and go.
All right.
Touch and go. I see. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know what it is, but it's a liquid, and they say if you have a toothache, you just simply put it on there, and quite frankly, it works.
But how come you always come back to the dentist? If it works, then why?
She really is a Judas. You really are a Judas.
So while I'm not espousing to its use, I'm saying that what exactly is that chemical, and how bad is it?
Well, I know it contains a bit of aspirin or something, but the truth of the matter is that they don't really work. These are organisms. You can't touch and go. There is nothing like touching and going. The organism is not going to go anywhere unless you take it out. You take it out and you cover that cavity. In as much as you have a cavity there, those organisms will keep thriving. So all those substances, the touch and goes and all of that, they may give you momentary relief, but the truth is that the organism is still multiplying in troves. And they would eventually overwhelm the system because infection would spread. It will spread from within the tooth to the outside of the tooth in the bone. You can see these areas, right? You can see that the infection has already gotten to the roots of the tooth and is spreading in the bone. And sometimes, it could gather a lot of pus, swelling, and track to the neck, to the head and so many spaces. So tooth problems shouldn't be taken lightly.
Okay, but in a bad situation, you can just simply take all of it out, like I did when I was 26, I think. My first tooth extraction was just that. Take it out, let's just get rid of the problem. Now I hate dentists because he never gave me an option, this man. I know your office. But I also hear, and you said that here, that taking out my teeth requires that I put back an artificial one. I do have one artificial tooth, but why is it important that I replace it?
Also, some teeth, when they have problems, can be treated. Now, the only teeth that cannot be really saved are teeth that are badly destroyed. So you waited for that cavity, the cavity has gone, so bad, and when you treat it, there is really no substance left, so there is nothing to build on. Such instances, you need to take out the tooth. You also have the last teeth in the mouth, which we call the wisdom tooth, the third molars. sometimes they don't erupt in the normal way, just like you were asking earlier, like some of them impacted. So you see that all your other teeth are standing upright, but because you don't have enough space for the last tooth to come out when it's about to come out, it's inclined in a way that it could start affecting, you know, the other teeth or the other tooth in front of it. So because of that, you may be asked to take them out. But any other teeth apart from the wisdom tooth, once you take it out, it's always advisable to replace them.
Wow.
Why? When you take out a tooth, for instance, you have a space there. Nature does not like space. Your teeth are always in contact with each other.
The force is always thick.
Yeah, side by side, and then when you touch. So that is how the body has designed those teeth. So they are comfortable, you know, when they touch each other. Now, when you take out that tooth now, there is now going to be drifting of this tooth in the bid to look for that contact. The teeth on either side of that place would
lean into each
other.
other.
Be leaning to each. It's going to drift. That's not only that. Now, when you bite together, your upper touches the lower. Once this lower is missing, this starts to over-erupt in the bid to look for that contact. And once that happens, it's going to erupt to be longer than the other teeth, which has already distorted the normal anatomy of your mouth, the arch. So because of that, you may now start having problems here because the roots are exposed. The ones that are drifted has altered the anatomy, and before you know it, you may start having problems with those teeth, which would eventually lead you to taking them out as well.
All right. Let's talk about some fads in the pursuit of clean teeth or white teeth. I feel like white teeth is a myth, really. You know, are you born with white teeth? So there's a situation where I think went viral on Twitter when people were talking about whitening the teeth and the pain that comes with it, right? So let's talk about that, this fad of clean dental dentation, scaling and polishing, whitening, and also veneers. What is the appropriate thing, or what is accepted best practices in the dentistry world regarding those three?
Okay, so first and foremost, I would say that teeth color matters. Or teeth, I'll use the word color to color your teeth.
It's not white,
yes, but at the same time, you know, we are in the world where everybody wants,
perfect smile,
white teeth, celebrity teeth, paper white. Paper white teeth are seen in children. Milk teeth. The adult teeth don't really appear to be paper white, you know, too good to be true white. Okay, but that is where we are going. That is where, you know, everybody's turning to. Everybody wants white teeth and all of that. The adult teeth has a gentle, slightly off-white hue, and there's a reason for that. You have the enamel, you have the dentine, you have the pulp. Enamel is the one that totally covers. Then the dentine is darker in color, so you see the reflection of the dentine under the enamel. Now, when you although we also have people that have tooth anomalies, hypoplasias, and all of that. So tetracycline stain. So you could have people with their teeth very brown, which are unnaturally brown.
But they're healthy.
That is self-esteem. Some are healthy, some are not healthy. But it's self-esteem.
Yeah, that affects your mind, I can imagine.
And we're just talking about the healthy mind. So for such people, they wouldn't be able to smile. They wouldn't be able to, you know, to talk and all of that. So that is where the intervention comes in. On the other hand, we have the process of teeth whitening now where you can, so let's start with the stages of darkened teeth and how to go about it. The first thing is most of the discolorations you have can come from your debris, your plaque, your calculus on your teeth stains, smoking.
Yeah, your coffee stains.
Your coffee stains. They cause darkening of the teeth. So once you come to the dentist, the first thing they will do is assess your teeth. Most times, by the time you just do a routine scaling and polishing, it takes off your stains and your teeth are okay. However, you have those other stains that go a step further, which are the intrinsic stains. You see those stains, there are different stages. You can start with bleaching. Bleaching done by a professional is ideal because he knows the procedure, he knows the process, he knows the pros and cons. But you see everybody doing teeth whitening now. Everywhere you go to, we do teeth whitening.
So this fad of teeth whitening, and you go to an esthetician place to get your facial, like, oh, do you want to whiten your teeth?
Exactly.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Well, so I would just say a professional, you want to have your teeth whitening done, you go to a professional because they would assess you. They would assess whether you need a teeth whitening or not. It's not everybody that is a candidate for teeth whitening. That's the truth. Some people, the discoloration is so much that teeth whitening may not be able to solve your problem. That's why we now go to other procedures like the veneers and the crowns. You actually do them when there is need. But you know, veneers now, it's a cosmetic thing. Teeth whitening is cosmetic. And there are times you do teeth, you don't whiten your teeth. We even have over-the-counter teeth whitening agents.
So
people just abuse those things, and then eventually it causes a lot of problems because they've literally destroyed the tooth, so they are exposed to a lot of sensitivity and problems.
On the subject of it being a healthy mind, teeth whitening actually isn't for everybody, like Dr. Judith said, because somebody gave me very interesting advice once, because I wanted to whiten my teeth. I've got pearls, but I wanted it to be white. And he looked at my eyes and he said, no, it's not for you.
Exactly.
And I said, why? Would you want to tell her? Tell her why exactly.
Because most times the color of your teeth matches the color of the white of your eyes.
So whitening your teeth.
No wonder my teeth is white. It's too long enough.
So
a
good dentist would advise you.
I got a good dentist that advised me not to.
And even if you're going to do teeth whitening, maybe just once every 4 to 6 months. They wouldn't keep on, doing it back to back, but everybody's doing teeth whitening.
When does one need scaling and polishing then?
Every time.
You need to have scaling and polishing.
And who is qualified, if that the term is, for scaling and polishing?
So you need to have scaling and polishing every 6 months. I will talk about that. Okay?
I'm sure.
Because of gums. So we've talked about cavities. That is problem on the tooth. We also have problems with the gums. And if you don't attend to that too, you would lose your tooth. Even though you don't have cavities, your tooth will eventually start shaking and it will fall off on its own. And when an adult tooth falls off, it can be replaced. It won't grow back. A baby tooth would be replaced by an adult tooth, but an adult tooth, once it falls off, will not grow back. Now, when you look at your normal smile, you look at the margins of your gums, right?
Yeah.
You notice that they are tiny. You have these very little pockets in, just like your nail bed. You have those pockets in, and no matter how you brush your teeth, those pockets cannot be taken care of by your brush. Now, they harbor organisms, food debris, and all of that too, but they harbor them in tiny quantities. There is a certain period of time where they've accumulated enough to want to start causing problems for you, like bleeding gums, mobile teeth. Once you have bleeding gums, your gums are not healthy. And one of the only solutions is once you just do your scaling and polishing,
that takes care
the bleeding gum is taken care of. So we always say that for those organisms to want to start causing those problems, it takes about 6 months. So routinely, you have your scaling and polishing done every 6 months. So you have those specialized instrument that goes into those crevices and the gums and takes out those debris.
So we can't get the same effect with our brush?
Not at all, you can't.
So why are we asked to brush every day now?
You brush every day because
Imagine all the time I could have saved not brushing.
No, you still have to brush.
I'm joking, doctor.
So you still have to brush, okay?
Yeah, I mean, twice a day for me, morning and evening, and then, I remember I was telling somebody, and then the person goes, oh, but you're going to get bloody gums. What are bloody gums?
You get bloody gums if you have gingivitis, which is gum issues.
You hear that?
And gum issues come from not brushing your teeth regularly, not seeing your dentist regularly, and not brushing properly.
How frequently should we be seeing our dentist?
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months?
Twice a year.
Before you go, I wanted to also touch on the fact that while we have focused plenty on our dentition and the mouth, real quick, there are other ailments that we can identify from, the mouth as well. And that might not be related immediately to our cavity, so our oral cavity. What are these diseases and what do they point to? If you can summarize for us some of these, how we can identify these diseases.
There are quite a lot of them, but I'll just mention a couple of them, like HIV.
Really?
Yes.
You can identify it from?
So there are manifestations. There are oral manifestations of so many conditions. Even diabetes, there are oral manifestations of so many conditions in the mouth. So you could just routinely walk in to see the dentist, and then they take a look into your mouth, and they're like,
maybe you should.
We would like you to have this test done. So many of them.
I hear of a condition where it's actually a good smell. It's a fruity smell, but it points to perhaps, I don't know if it's liver or...
Why is your teeth smelling fruity?
No, it's not your teeth. It's coming from the inside.
It's coming from your breath. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
It's coming from your breath.
Show us how often should we change our toothbrushes? Should we floss before brushing or after brushing? Mouthwash, all the perks, all the...
All right, so let's talk about your brushing first. Okay. Your brushing, a lot of us go that way.
Yes, I still go that way.
That's wrong.
Hey, look, it's still there. It's still there, doctor. It's still there.
Yes.
She really is a Judas.
The only thing you learned today, then I will be glad.
I've still got 30.
Yes, so when you're brushing, it's good to brush away from your gums. Because your gums are soft, your teeth are hard. When you brush this way, you're using the same force, and at the same time, it's going to cause gum issues. Your gums are going to recede. And when your gum recedes, it's going to expose your roots. And when it exposes your roots, you're going to have sensitivity and more dental problems. So when you're brushing, you brush away from your gums and into your mouth. Okay? So it's not like this. And it's not like this. So when you're brushing, you brush, away from your mouth, away from your gums, into your mouth, okay? It takes a little longer time, but you notice that the bristles are massaging your gums.
Okay.
They're also going, all those spaces in between your teeth to scoop out whatever you have in there, at the same time. And you do it in, and you do it, in the mouth, up and down at the same time, okay? So that's how to brush your teeth. And when you finish brushing, you remember that if you look at the teeth, here is sharp, but here is flat. That means that this is an extra surface for you to wash. So you also remember to take care of those surfaces as well. And then don't forget the tongue.
As well?
And the back of the teeth, yes. If you can, you should get your brush to the back of the teeth. Now, some people's mouth opening are quite small, so we always advocate a brush with a smaller head.
Okay.
That way, it will be able to get all the way to the back of the teeth, because a lot of people will brush their teeth and then at the back there, you have, so that's that. Right. Now, your toothbrush should be the medium bristles.
Medium?
Yes.
I like it hard.
No. So,
Judith.
Hard, yeah, I'm pushing some tables today, right?
Both Judith, you guys need to clean your mind.
So hand brushing.
It's a news show.
Please.
Yes.
Dr. Judith.
Yes.
Don't mind. Just keep going, JJ. Don't mind him.
So you use a medium bristle toothbrush for adults and for children, soft. If you use a hard one, I talked about the enamel. Enamel is the hardest substance of the body, protects the other part of the tooth. Once your enamel is exposed, tooth becomes sensitive because the dentin is exposed, and anything you put in your mouth, you react to it. Or it gives you that shocking, very uncomfortable feeling. And once you use a hard brush, it's going to wear down the enamel. Once you wear down the enamel, the tooth becomes yellower because the dentin is darker and is exposed.
So soft for children, medium for adults, hard
for adults.
Kosi
hard.
Hard Kosi. So I smoked for a long time, and I was advised to use hard bristles, so I've stuck to hard bristles.
No, it's not advisable to use hard brush.
Oh, not even as a smoker?
No.
Or a former smoker?
No. What about automatic toothbrushes? Are those good as well?
Oh yes, they're good. They're good.
Because I mean, with the speed.
Yes, the electric toothbrushes. Yes, studies have shown that they do better.
All right.
They do better than even your manual brushing.
So, okay. And then what about flossing and mouthwash? Should mouthwash replace flossing?
Alcohol.
Okay, so
the alcohol.
Don't do it.
No, the alcohol. What I mean is alcohol mouthwash. That's what I'm referring to.
Mazzino.
Should you or shouldn't you?
Don't. Okay.
It's a good question.
So let's talk about mouthwashes.
Okay.
We have a lot of mouthwashes over the counter, and there are different mouthwashes for different uses. So you don't just walk in and pick any mouthwash. The routine mouthwash are the ones that contain fluoride.
Okay.
So any mouthwash that contains fluoride, so you check it. Once it contains fluoride, it's good for you.
Okay.
Other medicated mouthwashes are prescription drugs. They are actually drugs, and you shouldn't use them for a long time, because just like you don't use antibiotics for a long time, you also don't use these prescription mouthwashes for a very long time.
Okay.
So if you're going to be using over-the-counter mouthwashes, just go for the ones that have fluoride. You have the alcohol-based, you have the ones that are not alcohol-based. Anyone, depending on your preference, it's okay. Some are more harsh than the other, you know, but of course, that's up to you to decide.
I like the harsh ones, the ones you can use to clean your toilet. That's the kind
toilet, mouth.
And you keep sending me down this road.
I like
my brain is
I like to kill everything.
If
you can kill the germs in the bathroom.
Well, so like I said, the antibiotic mouthwashes kill germs, or they bring down the concentration of the germs. So I don't like to use the word germs. Let's use the word microorganisms.
Okay.
As we're talking, we have microorganisms everywhere, on your skin, in the air.
And we have useful ones in
and you have them in the mouth. They are useful until they overwhelm the mouth. So when they become so much, they start to cause problems for you. Okay. So you need to keep them in check. And all the things we talked about, the flossing, floss after every meal, is very important. You're brushing twice a day, your regular dental checkups. Now, if you see a dentist regularly, before your cavities even become visible to you, your dentist has seen it. And it's not every cavity your dentist would take a drill and, you know, fill it. And sometimes they just prescribe 1 or 2 things for you. You use it, and then the cavity gets arrested.
Judith was talking about floss.
Yeah,
flossing.
Yes. Flossing.
So flossing.
There's this viral video on Instagram, and I want you to also talk about that. I was talking about flossing. People who give unsolicited advice about, you know, dental care, and you'll be like, oh, before you brush, you must scrape your tongue. There's that part. People are now doing all of this whole routine of flossing first, and then mouthwash, and then brush, and then tongue scraper.
There is no routine to oral care. There is no this before the other and that before the other. You brush twice a day. You floss after your meals. You see your dentist regularly.
But no toothpicks.
You use a fluoride toothpaste, a fluoride-containing toothpaste.
What about toothpicks?
Toothpicks, no. Okay. Now, what toothpicks do? Toothpicks are very wide. They are wider than the spaces in your gums. So once you push a toothpick, you are traumatizing the gums. And the gums are very specialized tissues. They don't really like too much of trauma and prodding. So you can see that the dental floss will just, you know, slide in and slide out with no issues. But when you keep putting your toothpick, what it does is that the gums there recede. The bone, we call it interdental bone. So your teeth are buried in bone. So what you're seeing here, there is like 2/3 of it buried in bone. Now
the pyramids. Sorry, my brain. It just came out. Keep going.
All right. So when you keep using a toothpick, you destroy that interdental bone in between. Then you now start having pockets in between. And then when you have pockets, you have more food packing, you have more germs, and you have more dental problems. Wow. So toothpicking, it's not encouraged. Dental floss is the ideal. Yes.
Dr. Judith and Judith.
There we go.
Dr. Judith, thank you very much for the detailed instructions that you've given us today on. Somebody very interesting is asking us
scrapers. Would you advise that we use that consistently, or?
No, tongue scrapers, yeah. People, you can use tongue scrapers. I don't really use tongue scrapers. Just using your toothbrush to brush your tongue is fine. But some people, you know, psychologically too, they feel more comfortable using tongue to be sure. But it's all good.
I wonder if the marketing of our toothpaste was the reason. I wonder if the marketing for our toothpaste, whether in the 90s or the 80s or even now, is the reason why we're obsessed with white teeth.
I can't really say about that.
Bright smiles, white teeth.
Can't really.
Oh, remember those ad in the 90s where the guy was smiling and waving at the plane, and his teeth was glimmering. Always comes to mind every time.
Your age is showing. In any case, Dr. Judith John, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We've had a very interesting time here. Thank you for bringing the props so we can get a very interesting insight into exactly the anatomy of the mouth and how these ailments or diseases actually take root. In every sense of the word, take root. Thank you very much once again. And we'll be looking forward to bringing you on to talk more when we have issues regarding our oral, our mouths and everything oral. Thank you.
And also thank you to Mr. Rugged and Mr. Smooth for coming on. There's the dental teeth on the floor.
Oh, those guys.
I've given them name. Those guys.
Oh!
Oh, you didn't know I was talking about them?
All 5 of us. Thank you once again, Doctor.
Oh, goodness. Stick around. Coming up next is going to be the headlines, and I will be bringing you that. Don't go anywhere. Welcome. It's time for us to bring you breakfast headlines here on Breakfast Extra, and I am Judith at TV. We'll begin with security matters, where operatives launch a manhunt as gunmen demand 100 million naira for abducted naval officer, others as well. Security operatives have commenced a secure rescue operation for a kidnapped official of the Defense Headquarters, Lieutenant Cynthia Akor, and 2 others in the Federal Capital Territory. It was reported that gunmen abducted Akor, a Nigerian Navy officer attached to the Defense Headquarters, along with 2 others. The victims were kidnapped from their residence in the Mbappe area of the FCT on Friday night. It was disclosed that the kidnappers had contacted the families of the hostages, demanding a 100 million naira ransom for their release. The abduction has heightened concerns over the worsening security situation in the nation's capital as cases of kidnappings and violent crimes continue to escalate. Elsewhere, the Osun State government has imposed a 24-hour curfew in Ifon, Ilubo, and Irin Osun communities following a resurgency of communal clashes. Governor Ademola Adeleke took the decision after an initial 12-hour curfew failed to contain the violence, which has forced many residents to flee. A statement from the governor's spokesperson, Olawale Rashid, also confirmed the deployment of a joint security task force and ongoing peace efforts between the warring communities. The governor assured residents of his administration's commitment to restoring security and has briefed the presidency on the situation. The state government also warned against the circulation of fake videos online, describing them as deliberate attempts to spread misinformation and incite fear about insecurity in Osun State. Away from that, a federal high court sitting in Lokoja, Kogi State capital, has set aside an earlier ruling that restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission and from receiving the recall process initiated by constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan. The Federal High Court, in a landmark judgment delivered in Lokoja on Friday, affirms that the recall process is constitutionally valid and aligns with the civic rights of the constituents. The court urged the constituents to continue exercising their rights in an orderly and peaceful manner. The development was after the court on Thursday granted an interim injunction restraining INEC, its staff, agents, privies, or assigns from receiving, accepting, or acting on any petition containing signatures of members of Kogi Central Senatorial District. The injunction, however, restrains INEC, its staff, agents from receiving or accepting recall petitions with fake signatures and conducting any referendum based on such petitions. The case has been adjourned to May 6, 2025 for further mentioning. And on to Rivers State, where the sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ita Ibas, has advised the contractor handling the State Assembly Complex project to speed up work and deliver it as mutually agreed. Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, insisted that part of his mandate included restoring full and effective legislative activities in the state. The sole administrator gave the charge when he visited to inspect the ongoing reconstruction work on the new assembly complex located along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt's local government area on Saturday.
Appointed in the first place to be here to maintain law and order that will enable us go back to what the state is supposed to be. In the last 2 days, you're also aware that I had been at the executive arm of the state governance structure, and one of the pillars that is missing for now is the legislature, and for them to function effectively, they also need a place to work from. Perhaps I'm here to be sure that work is going on as expected, so that by the end of the 6 months, this place will be ready for those who need to use it. I think basically that's what it is.
We'd like to know whether you will be pushing the contractor to ensure that they within this.
They have a schedule and they have timelines that I believe they will adhere to. Okay. I think the state has done its own bit by providing the necessary funds. I was briefed, and so the onus is on them to make sure that they keep to the terms. Okay.
And that's all the headlines we can take at this hour. It's back to Breakfast Extra. I am Judith TV. Stay here.
Welcome back. Our penultimate conversation here for Breakfast Extra Sunday edition. Let's talk artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the field of cybersecurity by enhancing threat detection and also response capabilities. AI systems can analyze vast amounts of data in real time, identifying patterns and anomalies that may indicate cyber threats, thereby enabling organizations to respond more swiftly and also effectively to potential attacks. This technology advancement is crucial as cyber threats become increasingly sophisticated and pervasive. However, the integration of AI into cybersecurity is a double-edged sword, they say. While it offers enhanced defense mechanisms, it also presents new risks. For instance, AI can be exploited to create sophisticated malware, as demonstrated by researchers who manipulated AI models to generate codes capable of breaching security systems. Moreover, the reliance on AI raises concerns about over-dependency on automated systems and the potential for unforeseen vulnerabilities.
So to explore this complex landscape, we are joined by Alan Juma. He's a seasoned cybersecurity engineer, and he joins us live all the way from outside of Nigeria. Alan, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
When one hears artificial intelligence, one thinks something higher being. I know, but how, when you think about it, it thinks about all of this, intelligence that it has that can do better than a human sometimes. That's a misconception that we have about AI. But none of that also comes to mind is its threat to cybersecurity, right? So I'm going to ask you, how is AI currently being utilized to enhance threat detection and response in cybersecurity frameworks?
Okay, thank you. AI is not only changing the cybersecurity field, but also the world as we know it. For us as security professionals, we are leveraging AI to help us in automating of threat detection. Thereby freeing us up to do other complex tasks. So with enhanced threat detection, AI can actually analyze vast amounts of data so that they can be able to identify anomalies as well as predict potential threats, what we call predictive analysis. And this allows us to do more things and actually respond faster to these particular threats. It also helps us as cybersecurity professionals to do what we call automation of security tasks, intelligence gathering, vulnerability scanning. By vulnerability scanning, I mean looking for weaknesses in the systems that we protect, as well as responding to these incidences. However, on the flip side, as you have said, malicious actors are using the same techniques we are using to actually look for these vulnerabilities and exploit them faster than we can actually patch them. So cyber criminals will actually automate their vulnerability scanning, looking for vulnerabilities or weaknesses in systems, and using the same AI to come up with bespoke malware. By malware, I mean this is software that will take advantage of the weaknesses so that they can get money or just spread malicious havoc in any organization.
So Juma, let's try and deconstruct some of the jargon that we are talking about here today for people who don't really understand. Cybersecurity, what do you guys do exactly? What are you protecting? I know it has to do with, the internet or the use of it or it as a pathway, but what exactly is cybersecurity? And then you can explain how AI plays into it.
Okay, cybersecurity. I will use this analogy. In any building that you try to enter nowadays, you'll find there's a security guard, right? Basically, that is what cybersecurity is all about. Preventing guys who do not have legitimate access to your data from accessing your data. We are basically internet watchmen, to put it in a very layman term. So we protect guys from coming in unauthorized. So to your second part of your question, we use artificial intelligence to help us prevent people who want to enter our systems without any authorization, and also they are trying to use advanced weapons. So all of us, both the bad guys and the good guys, are using advanced weapons. In this case, AI, artificial intelligence. Maybe you can also define what artificial intelligence is. Basically the automation of tasks that require human intelligence, such as learning, problem solving, and decision making. And this is exploded to even to a million times over what the natural or the normal human being can do. I hope I have broken it down so that everybody will be able to understand what it is.
I think you have, and therein we have more questions when you put it like that, because It seems like here and now there is a certain over-reliance on AI for everything. Even your ChatGPT, you can just simply tell it what you're trying to say and it's going to construct a very incredible piece for you. The same thing with what's happening with cybersecurity. You're relying on AI to actually give you frameworks that can help secure information or data. So also is your opponents, the guy who's trying to break in. So this over-reliance on AI, isn't it in itself a problem?
Well, it is not just a problem in cybersecurity, but as you rightfully said, in any particular field. In your field, for example, there has been a lot of hue and cry about individuals who are losing their jobs because of, I can write a book in an hour because of AI. Now, when you look at it from our perspective, it is actually more dangerous because any person who has access to internet can actually go and use ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, and say, help me come up with a specific expert that will attack New Central TV, and they will actually be able to do it. So there is an over-reliance in terms of we do not want to do the over-reliance on the malicious actors' end is that even people who are not skilled can actually pull off successful attacks because they're using AI to help them. However, for us who are a bit experienced, it will help us now detect such attacks because the attacker may not have the basic knowledge or the foundational knowledge to actually custom make, because not everything that comes from the AI models is fit for consumption or is as exactly as you want it to do. You have to tailor make it. So when we use AI as the good guys, we are able to detect such poorly written code because of AI and lack of customization to detect that these are generated attacks and stop them even further. So for us, it's not really over-reliance, but it is actually helping us defend and show up our defenses much more better.
So can you provide some examples where AI has successfully prevented cyber attacks that traditional methods might have missed?
Okay, I'll give you an example. In Ghana, there was an attack that was leveraged against the energy sector, and this was done through, earlier on I alluded to this, what we call DDoS, distributed denial of service. This happened also in Ghana in the energy sector as well as here in Kenya. What happened is now malicious actors tried to send a lot of traffic to a particular website, more traffic than the website can handle, and this crashed that particular website. Now, to defend that, use what we call web application firewall that will be able to identify such malicious threats that are trying to be evasive or are trying to be camouflage. And in thus doing, even though the websites were down for a number of hours because of the additional help from AI, these particular two countries, both Ghana and Kenya, were able to identify the source of this malicious traffic, prevent it, and ensure that it does not happen again. And unfortunately, it is just a waiting game because even though we are hoping it won't happen again, it will definitely happen again. It's a matter of when and not a matter of if.
And what about our financial systems? In Nigeria, in Ghana, in Kenya, you also talked about New Central being attacked, but hopefully not. Don't give anybody ideas. But when it comes to our financial systems, we actually use a lot of these cyber securities to help ward off threats. How big of a threat are we warding off when it comes to financial systems in general? In Kenya, there is, I think, there is a number code that we also use here. Can those be cracked?
Somebody once said, even if I put my phone in a vault and I put security guards around it, even then I'm not too sure that nobody will get access to it. So as I said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So Africa is a digital giant. We are a roaring lion in terms of cybersecurity and also mobile money or fintech. I'll take you back to, I believe it was last year or 2023, whereby Flutterwave, they had a cybersecurity breach that caused billions, people say billions of nairas were stolen. These things are happening in our day and age. However, we also have young people who are hungry to actually protect their investments, protect their futures. Can the codes be cracked? Definitely. It's only a matter of time. But again, with a lot of awareness, as you are doing right now at New Central, people are learning about these techniques and how to protect them, and thus reducing their attack surface area or their vulnerability or susceptibility to such attacks.
This is where we have to draw the curtains on this discussion, but conversations like this need to be had. I mean, if not for AI or cybersecurity, but most importantly, so just raise your alarm about tighter securities tighter cybersecurity when it comes to our infrastructure. But once again, Alan Juma, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you
very much. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we come back home and we head to the west as we discuss Osun Communal crisis. After the break, stay with us.
Welcome back. Our final conversation today. The long-standing communal crisis in Osun State has escalated once again, claiming lives and leaving destruction in its wake. Reports indicate that an ex-councillor and 2 others were killed in the renewed hostilities that erupted between warring factions. Several homes were set ablaze as tensions flared, deepening the humanitarian and security concerns in the affected communities. This last bout of violence underscores the persistent nature of land disputes and also territorial disagreements in the region, often fueled by historic grievances and political undertones.
And so to dissect the root causes of this crisis and explore potential solutions, we have with us 2 guests. Wahid Sakar, he's a convener of Dialogue 365, and also Jare Tiamiyu, he's a journalist and development expert. Both of them join us on this discussion to help us understand the dynamics of these conflicts and the role of governance in preventing such crises that can be done to restore, and what can be done to restore lasting peace in Osun State. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, shall we? I'm going to get started with this question to both of you. What are the immediate triggers of this latest clash in Osun, and how does it compare to previous incidents? Let me start with you, Mr. Saka.
Well, as far as I know, the current clash, because I am a member of the committee, the enlarged committee constituted by the government to look into the crisis and suggest the lasting solution to the incessant attack on the 3 communities. And we have been sitting on that committee. We met in the 3 community on the disputed land, and we gave them opportunity to hear their view, and we gave them 7 days to write their final report and send it to the committee for us to come up with a solution. Unfortunately, what we had was that there was another attack. We don't know who started it, because I need to tell this to the public, that we only know when the attack is snowballing into a major crisis. We don't always know who is the originator of the attack, because the 3 communities will continue to come up that this person attacked us first, and this community attacked first, and that is their agenda. You can never ascertain the community that starts the clash. You can never ascertain, because if you ask them, they will say this person attacked us, and that is why we retaliate, and that is why we need to protect ourselves. So for me, I don't know who started the attack, and it would be bad for a member of an habitat to say that this community started this and this community do that. No. For us to have a lasting peace, we need to get a saying who starts what and look for a lasting solution. That's my take on it.
All right, Jerry, first of all, I want to tell the names of the communities. We're talking about the Ifon and Ilobu communities. It's not the first time that these communities have had... Okay, good. Thank you very much for the correction.
There are 3 communities.
Say again?
There are 3 communities, actually.
Could you please mention all the communities involved? Yeah, list all the communities involved, please. Mr. Jared.
Ilobu, Ifon, and Osun.
Okay. All right, good. So now...
These are the 3 communities.
So it's not the first time these communities have...
All
right. Go ahead.
They are in 2 local governments of Irepodun and Orolu. Irepodun has Ifon, Ilobu, and Osun, while Orolu is Ifon. So going to your question, is this the first time? No, this is not the first time. The 3 communities, they've had shares of crisis in the past. In 2005, Ilobu and Ifon, they had crisis that claimed lives, about 11 lives that time, and that was during the administration of former Governor Lagusoye Ilola. In 2021, Ilobu and
they had clash around February 1st, 2021 to around February 3rd, 2021. And also, in the last 18 months, it has been battle between Ilobu and Ifon. And I can tell you that this is the eighth time that we have clash between the two communities. Claimed several lives. In fact, a student was killed around January this year in one of the clashes. Farmers have been killed since September 2023. We have been having clashes among these between Ilobu and Ifon, and then this is the eighth time. But the dynamics to it now is that it's extended to Osun in this one, and lives were lost, properties were actually lost in those two communities. So this has been an age-long crisis on land, boundary, and all others. And I can tell you that the dynamics to it is that it is no more the issue of land. We are now getting to know that the issue of we came here first, we are the first settlers, they are the first settlers, has actually compounded the whole crisis. And that is why it is becoming a very difficult matter to actually resolve, because before you know, this community will be saying that we are the landlords, we are the original landlords. The other community will also be saying that we are the original landlords. So who are the landlords? And I know that this is what the committee of Waid Shaka is actually facing. I'm very sure that they will have heard of different stories claiming that we are the landlords or they are the landlords. But this is a very long crisis that has been in existence for long. However, since 2005 to 2021, there was a relative peace. And then between 2021 and 2023, there was even relative peace among the three communities.
Jerry, could you talk us through how this eventually resulted in the death of a few people, including one former councillor?
Yes, according to the narrations, on Friday evening, there were reports of what do you call it? No, it was a Friday. Okay, it was on Thursday evening. There were reports of gunshots at different locations around the boundary, and around in the morning of Friday, it snowballed into a very big crisis. And then you will have seen videos of how at the initial, we got to know that the people from Ifon entered the Ilobu. In fact, not only the councillor that was killed, another person was killed yesterday, and we have about 2 deaths or 3 deaths now that have not been able to confirm the third. But I can tell you that I'm sure of the second one is a young man by the name Naim. He was killed yesterday. And when you now look at the loss, I mean, the destruction of properties, burning of houses. In fact, the house of the father of the former Deputy Speaker of House of Representatives, and the Deputy Speaker of the 8th Assembly, Right Honorable Osun State, his father's house was burnt. It's located at this, that is the market. It's located at this market, and it was burnt completely. And not only that, we have about 6 houses, 2 filling stations around that spot that were burnt. The burnt houses to several areas. This man that you are showing is a younger brother to former Deputy Speaker, who was reporting what happened at his father's house. So if you look at that area, it led to a very big crisis to the extent that they entered the Ilobu for more than 800 meters, and destruction both left and right. A lot of the people from that area are actually lamenting. And I can say that yesterday it was a kind of attack around the 3 communities. The 3 communities had a fair share of the crisis yesterday. Osun, Ifon, and Ilobu, they had a lot of a casualty. This may not be, there was a casualty in Ilobu, the guy that I said died, and there were a lot of properties that were burnt around that area yesterday. So those are that is how it's snowballed into the crisis. And I believe that the problem that we have, which I want to put to the whole world, is that the security agents did not react as at when needed. As at 12 noon, when the whole crisis in the morning, it started around 8 a.m., it was just at the boundary. But I think a community overpowered another, and the security agents were being called I personally called the police public relations officer to ask him that, what are you doing? That was around some minutes to 11 a.m. on Friday. I asked him, please, what are you doing to ensure that you curtail this crisis? But what he told me was that he was going to call me back. And I called him later, he didn't pick his call. And I was told with people that around that area, there was no security presence up to around 1 p.m. And that was why, the carnage and the houses that were burnt were more, because when the crisis was ongoing, unchallenged for about 15 hours, because it started around 11 p.m., for about 15 hours, 16 hours, and there is no security operatives inside. It means the attackers and the assailants will have the free day, and that was what they have on Friday. So the security agents, I called Amatekon, they told us that they have deployed people, and when I confirmed that, I heard that they have less than 15, about 15 to 20 officers to curtail the crisis that was happening at 3 different spots, because it was happening around Ganga area, around the Idiri area, and also there was an area we call ours. All these areas were boundaries. They were
okay, then, Jerry. All right, just a second, Jerry.
If you enter the civil community, you may not know the value.
Right. Now, I'm glad you were able to just retell all that happened in terms of the violence and the death and the looting that's happened. Mr. Saka, they called for a 12-hour curfew that have now increased to 24-hour curfew in these communities. What will be your call to the government in addressing this crisis, this communal crisis, and what's the way forward? I ask because you are the convener of Dialogue 365.
I need to. Sometimes you speak as a community leader. Sometimes you speak as an activist. Sometimes you speak as somebody that have things to grant within the crisis. I am not from any of the 3 communities. I don't have anything to grant with it. But as an activist, I will tell you that there was a 12-hour curfew before the commencement of this Ramadan fasting. And it took the intervention of the 3 communities to plead to government to lessen the curfew so that they can have a each-free Ramadan period. And the committee co-chairman, who is a king in Osun here, vehemently against that lesson of it, because when you see the way they engage themselves, even when they are explaining things to the committee, you will know the animosity is a deep-rooted one. You will know that the 3 communities were just sitting on a time bomb, waiting to explode at any time. So there are opportunities to criticize government. I am a non-critic of this government for not doing enough. But there are issues that you would think that when 3 communities are on a self-destruction mission, there is little that the government can do. Because at this level, now they have increased it to 24 hours. That is the only thing that can actually curtail it. But there is more that the government needs to do in terms of putting more security to that community. Because security can only patrol around the roads and stuff like that. For me, violence, they say, is the force of our heart. But now we are hearing from these people, yes, they continue to exhibit violence activity against each other. If you know that community very well, they are so intertwined that they started in law and now they are in war. How the government curtail this when communities that are living inside this community? In fact, Ilobu people were building houses inside Ifa, and Ifa were building houses inside the Ilobu. Little that of Osun. Yes, they continue to fight. Their intermarriage is just a long history. They have a long history of intermarriage. Yes, they are fighting as if their life depends on it. And the rhetoric from people, from leading people in that community speaks volume. And there is need for government to actually call all those stakeholders to discuss. And that is the only way they can go about it. And also, we need to look at what next. There are areas that they violently say it belongs to this, it belongs to that. Government needs to take it over and get it immediately, because there was a time they have a buffer zone. Yes, each community continue to build in that buffer area because government refused to gazette it as at due. Even till now, they are yet to gazette that buffer zone. So for me, there is need for government to do more in terms of security of life and property, which they signed for anyway. And two, there is need for them to put their feet down on if you guys cannot resolve your crisis and live together as brothers, then we take over this land and we use it immediately. So there are a lot of issues around it, but they equally mention names. Names. People that are leading crises in each community, they are mentioning names. It is high time security do their job. If you don't like the face of government, if you don't like the face of the people, at least do your job as security agency. For me, at this moment, they're supposed to have the state security department supposed to have security report on that community that the government can work on and bring drastic peace to that community. It's unfortunate that lives were lost, property were destroyed. In fact, this is unprecedented in the history of their crisis. The current one is unprecedented. If you go to that community, you weep for our state because there is no way development can thrive where war and crisis thrive.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I have to ask at this point, right, when it comes to, you're talking about the security agencies and them doing their job. Is there any political undertone to this? Can we draw a tie between the communal crisis that's happening in these three communities and with political undertones? Jerry?
Yes.
Yeah?
Let me tell you, there is nothing like political undertone. If people are saying it has anything to do with politics, it's a lie. I understand the three communities very well. There is nothing political in what is happening. People are just trying to, give an escape route into, like my leader just said, Kwame just said, the government needs to do more. So if you are now saying it has anything political because of the ongoing issues among the parties, it is not. The crisis was actually a result of the age-long animosity between the three communities, among the three communities. And I can tell you that, let me buttress what company said. One thing is this: security agents are failed. If we are saying that we are having 8 attacks in 18 months, it means we ask ourselves, so forget about what the government will do. What does the security agents do? What have they done? We ask ourselves, when there are crises ongoing, and then when there are issues when a student was killed, a student of a poly was killed in one of the three communities. The community wrote a petition and they identified the person that killed the student, and they even attached a picture to it, sent to the police. We have the police. Was there any investigation done? The answer is no. Was there any arrest made? So when, before these people will be emboldened to commit this atrocity of this magnitude, you will have known that they have committed small ones in the past and they have seen no consequence. If there have been consequences, they will not be emboldened to continue this way. When we say that people were being killed, people were being, houses were burned, people were being shot at, and names have been dropped from the three communities. But there has not been any time when an arrest was made, a prosecution. These are the things these are the things that we are talking about. So there was a time when a petition was written and the police officer that was to investigate told the person that wrote the petition that he has gone to visit the suspects, let me say the accused person at his house, and realized that he's a good person, he cannot do such. And that is the end of the whole thing. I can tell you that the officer said it in my presence.
Well, Jerry, why do you think these lapses exist, Jerry? Jerry, I'm asking why you think these lapses in security, these lapses in concern, these lapses in authorities' responsibility, why do they exist in this matter?
We don't understand why. Let me tell you, since this matter has started, the commissioner of police that we have in the state now is Sitiaba Umar, and he has been here for close to a year now. I can tell you that normally, when we expected, like if the crisis happened on on Friday, and we had the commissioner of police at that saying yesterday, or leading his team to go and visit, that would have calmed the tension. People have known that there is security agents, at the top of that affair, but we could not see. So we are asking ourselves, we don't even understand why these lapses we are experiencing. During the 2021 crisis, it was the CP, the then Commissioner of Police, that went into the matter. It was at the scene 12 hours after the incident happened. It was at the scene, and he summoned the 3 traditional rulers to his office, where we will see the video where they all signed agreement, and that was the end of it. So we are expecting that since this crisis started about 18 months, how many times has the CP met with the traditional rulers? I'm not talking about their representatives. How many times has the governor met with the traditional rulers, apart from the time when he visited them at their respective palaces? Has he called them and sit down with them? I mean, not their representatives, the traditional rulers. These are some of the things that we are asking, that if we want to go into this matter, it is beyond emergence or don't fight or whatever. You have to go there. They have to go into it holistically, and we believe that the committee that is working will actually come up with a very good report. We don't know why, some set of people do not even want peace in that area. So, and with what he said on buffer zone, today we ask you where is the buffer zone. You ask any person, they will tell you that the governor just announced at an event, and there is no mapping, there is no signpost anywhere that said this place has now been has now become a buffer zone and nobody should come around there. So there's nothing like that. So the government needs to do more. But security agents, the intelligence showed that one of the communities has been asking people for contribution, for donation for about 2 weeks. In fact, people that go to the market also said it, that there are being contribution around one of the 3 communities, and they will call it, they tell some people that it is, the money is meant for. They tell the people at the market money is meant for development. And when we now ask ourselves, have they been collecting this kind of money before? The answer is no. So what was this money meant for? Is it to stop violence or what? So these are the things that we expect, and we have BSS offices in these 2 local governments. These are the things that we expected the operatives of all these security agents to have gathered. These are the intelligence that are needed to know that this thing is going to happen and to prevent it.
Right. When it comes to you, Mr. Saka, and just to ask this question, now without a question of a doubt, there's going to be impact on the ecosystems in terms of economics just around those communities. For business owners, they're going to be hit hard by this looting that's happening, right? You are a community leader. What's the way forward at this point? What can be done that can bring an end just for these communities to just find peace? Is it a 24-hour curfew? What can be done after that?
So 24-hour curfew was actually to stop the continuing the violence attack on the various communities. That was a starting point to say you should stop now, But the next phase of it is to find a common ground on how we will not continue this in this direction. And the culpability of the security agencies cannot be overemphasized, on all this, because there is no way you will find a lasting peace without security. Because it is for somebody, we have in the dialectical materialism, we have a saying that it doesn't take a two to start a fight. An idea in one is enough. So it doesn't take 3 communities to start a fight among themselves. An idea in one community is enough to trigger a crisis. But for me, the people may continue to read political meaning to whatever is going on. Me, I only see political protection. Because if government don't protect criminals, when you look at this from communal class, you only look at it from the criminality side. If people kill people, somebody kill that person. God don't kill people. People kill people. So when you kill somebody, they need to fish you out because you are not supposed to live in that community any longer. 1. 2, when people burn house down, house don't just get burnt. People do it. So you live for it. A nation without a consequence, a state without a consequence like ours, will continue to be in crisis. So for me, we have reached a level that every community should face out the criminal in their mind, because I know, because I visited that community with the committee, I know for a fact that the people of that community are tired. The business are in comatose. As a matter of fact, the development is back to ground zero. The money they are using to service the security now is even enough for them to develop a part of their community. So that will tell you that the business is at a comma for how can even business work in a state of emergency? I mean, in a
state of emergency.
For our coffee, if you don't work. So for me, we have reached a level that government need to do more. In fact, not only for protecting them, but to see how they can come around to compensate people that have lost their valuables.
And also, I think also the members of those communities as well need to start to stand vigilante as well. If they see something, hear something, it's best to also reach out to this to the security agencies. There have to be somewhat of a synergy for things to work. But gentlemen, this is where we have to draw the curtains on this discussion. We wait to see what happens in the coming hours and even tomorrow to see how it will play out. But we do hope that the looting, the violence, and the killings do come to an end for these three communities.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Amen. Amen. We pray you find the lasting peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wahid Sakan, also Ms. Jari joining us, Tiamiu, for giving us a bit of insight on the issues. As we draw the curtains for today's discussion right here on Breakfast Extra, a weekend like no other. You want to join us for next weekend? Saturday morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. It's going to be a date. Bring flowers. I will bring the drinks.
Oh,
yeah, it's
we're
a
drinking
date
now.
Yeah.
That's it for us. Join us again next week, like she said. But join the breakfast crew for Breakfast Central tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7 a.m. as they bring you all the details you need to know about what's happening in Nigeria and beyond. Till then, it's goodbye from us.
Wait, just one more thing. It's supposed to be Matthew's, our producer's wife's birthday today.
Oh, then there is that.
Yes,
Thank you for stopping me there.
Yes, it's her birthday today. A very happy birthday to her.
Mrs. Olunola.
Yeah, Olunola, there we go. Happy birthday to her. Wishing you a very, very happy birthday from us here at the Breakfast Extra team. We're going to be there to celebrate with you and to share in the joy with your family. To see another year is a blessing. So happy birthday to you, and shout out to the girls. We can't wait to celebrate.
And thank you for tolerating Matthew. That's it now.
What? That's a husband.
Goodbye. See you guys next time.
See you on Saturday. Bye.